You are about to opt in to Monerotopia, a show for the Monero community where all are welcome to join. From noob to maxi, no matter what bags you hold. Just sit back and relax to the sweet sounds of Monero's latest progress. Or if you're feeling inspired, join us on stage. Remember, the only thing that can stop Monero is a false belief that it can be stopped. And if you want to win the revolution faster, we recommend you remove your XMR from all custodial exchanges immediately. Warning, voting accidents are common around here. Don't forget to properly secure your private keys. Monerotopia starts now.
Alrighty, what's up? What's up?
GM.
Another struggle with the audio, man. Oh my god, it's a constant battle. Never quite perfected that. I got all the equipment. It should be pretty standard. Plug stuff in. I don't know why things just change around here.
Is it like a law of podcasting? Every time you do a stream, you gotta fix your mic settings every time.
Right? Like, can we not get this right? I'd be better off just like using a laptop with like standard earpods. It'll be more reliable than what I have going here, which is really sad. Yeah, Tux, man, gotta bring you in to fix up my studio over here. Let me know when you're ready. I have been thinking about trying to make some upgrades over here at the studio. Way too early to talk about things, but we might have some things coming down the pipe. And if that were the case, I would try to do some more in-person interviews.
Oh, that's awesome.
Cool. I mean, we are in New York, right? So it's like people are passing through New York all the time. Even if you it's a major hub. Either they're coming to New York for something or passing through on their way somewhere else. Or, they just come in for this, but that's less practical. But I think we could round up some guests that are passing through, and make it more conducive to in-person interviews. Try to do a couple of those, just because I think there'll be better conversation. It's just,
yeah, for sure.
It's nicer to have a conversation face to face.
Yeah,
I did it with Untraceable years ago. That was fantastic. He was just passing through New York.
That was a good one, yeah.
And he jumped on. So I gotta get that going. I think we might have some changes going on over here that would make that more feasible. So too early to say anything official, but I will let everybody know once we start doing that.
Plus, if you
How
get
you guys doing?
Good. If you get controversial figures, then they also can't run away and they can't really avoid the questions because they're in front of you.
Me and Chris Guy, it would just turn into me like wrestling the dude. Monero Maverick. Oh my god.
Oh god.
I would, I know. In all honesty, I would love to sit down with Monero Maverick. Honestly, just as a person, I get curious. Like the trolls on the internet, these people, like you just want to I mean, that's part of what makes the trolling attractive, right? It draws you in. Like, is this person real? Like, what? Like this worked. This person can't be. Like, I want to go talk to this person face to face.
Yeah.
Yeah. How you guys doing?
Good. I guess it's been more of a quiet week this week in terms of news. So not too many.
Has it been quiet? I guess for Monero, it's been a little. Well, I mean, the Qubic stuff died down. That's cool.
Yeah.
It's not. It doesn't mean it doesn't mean we solved the problem. It can mean that kind of in a way. Like it sounds like they don't have the money to continue doing what they're doing, which has been that is the proof of work defense, right? Like it's to sustain an attack, you need to keep dumping money into it. So maybe it's an indication that, ultimately the Qubic attack can only go for so long. But obviously there's changes that need to be done, and I see there's a lot of discussion. I see the work shares that we've talked about on Monero Talk. We had that fantastic interview with the Quai guy. He's a proof of work maxi, and he was pitching work shares as the ultimate solution for bolstering your proof of work against the 51% attack, essentially. and the attack that Qubic is doing. And it looks like Tevador came up with a proposal that incorporates work shares, which is really cool to see. So I think that's kind of maybe going to become the frontliner of potential options of things that get implemented. Obviously, people are discussing that they'll implement various, it won't just be one grand solution, but there'll be different upgrades. So I guess that's the big story for the week with regards to Monero. Anything I'm missing, guys? Like what was the big Monero news this week?
Not too many crazy stuff. I mean, I was going to talk about the fact that a lot of people post XMR Bazaar related questions. Like, for example, hey, I'm trying to buy, like we'll talk about it on the news, like, hey, I want to buy digital games, or I want to sell some gift cards for Monero. How do I do it? And there's so many, I just feel like just copy pasting XMR Bazaar because that's where you can do it. And
XMR, let me just talk about XMR Bazaar real quick, and then I'll shill the Monerotopia conference. Tony, I guess you'll do the news first.
Yeah, I talked to Bawdy, and then he said it's okay.
Yeah, you'll do the news first. I don't have a special guest lined up today. I don't know, Tux, maybe you'll be our special guest today. We haven't had you out in a while, if you're down. You can give us the latest updates. What's that?
I know I've been sort of in and out.
Yeah, no worries, dude. You're doing other things for the cause. We could maybe get an update on Cake, right? I think there's been some upgrades with Cake.
There has been recently, and that's kind of what
don't say them yet. We'll run the
no,
special
not
guest.
yet, not yet. I will say that we're working really hard on some pretty impressive changes that no one really knows about yet. So I won't talk about those, but I'll talk about what came out recently.
Dude, we got to get XMR Bazaar on Cake Wallet. That's a whole nother discussion. But I would like to see that. I would like to see that happen soon. And then I think if done right, that can make like the checkout really seamless for people, right? It could be pretty cool. I gotta convince Fick of that. I think Fick would be. I mean, I think he indicated already on X that he was down to do it.
Yeah, there's something we can maybe work out there.
Yeah, I think it'd be cool, right? To bring the marketplace into Cake. That'd be fantastic. I mean, we got a lot of ideas with XMR Bazaar as well. Things we're gonna launch Trocador soon, which should be cool. So then people can pay with essentially any crypto. But let me bring up. But first, we wanted to get the forums right. So forums are still a work in progress. But they're up. They're cool. They're working. Anarchio's tweaking it. But what's really unique about it is you can send a Monero tip to a post if you like it. So here's like somebody just tipped. Well, what's today? Today's the 27th. You have any like recent? I'm just curious, actually. 26th. Yeah, people have been tipping. I don't see any tips from today. Oh, no, actually, here's one. Oh, so this was in the Rucknium. Rucknium put up. Rucknium had mentioned in the MRL that he was going to write a blog post on the 18 block reorg. I was like, and then I DM'd him privately. I'm like, dude, consider posting it on XMR Bazaar forum, and maybe you'll get some tips for your post. Obviously, post it wherever you're going to post it, plus put it over here. And so he did that, which is really cool. But that actually, as he did it, we realized that there was a restriction on the amount of characters or something in the forum, so he wasn't able to post the full article. So Anarchio will be changing that. I guess he had that in for like security reasons.
This is cool. So you guys basically built a fully fledged forum into the platform. I haven't really tipped this yet.
With tipping built in. So you can send.
Oh, really? Wow.
Yeah, wait, hold on. Let me see. Can I log in here? So he's already been tipped 0.06 XMR. Actually, I was one of the people that tipped him. full disclosure. But somebody else did tip him. So yeah, you can hit tip. copy or you could open. It won't work for me right now on this computer. I don't have it set up where it would open up another wallet because I don't have another one running on here. But yeah, you could just copy the address, or with me, I would just scan the address right now with my cake. I could send a tip, and then I could then publish the tip with the transaction ID and transaction key, and it will show that he's been tipped, which is pretty cool. So, for example, if we were integrated into Cake, the process of, for example, entering your transaction, like we could eradicate that, figure out how to make that like seamless, right? We could do that without being integrated into Cake.
Well, potentially you could do the XMRchat way as well, where XMRchat gets the
view key.
The view key.
Yeah. And using LWS. Yeah,
Anarchio. It's a lot more infrastructure required, but
exactly.
The experience is obviously, really good.
Yeah, I mean, he's saying like the numbers are going to go, like our server expenses will go up like dramatically. Essentially, I think is what he's saying if we go that route. He's got this thing built in a way where it's like, it's actually quite impressive. He's constantly criticizing himself, but I think he builds very secure systems. Like, knock on wood, we haven't seen a DDoS yet. I don't want to bring that upon us, but I think he does a good job of making it secure and very lightweight. He's because of his background, his circumstances, wherever he come from, whoever he is, he's like a completely off the radar guy. That's using an old laptop to do programming and in the most anonymous way possible.
Dude's like, it's impressive how he maintains that, because like,
right?
Even I, with my own
like who the hell is it? Like we need a documentary on this guy, but obviously I would never want to expose him or bring him. Like he does not want that attention, but he's a very curious fella, very nice guy. I mean, he's like. He's constantly like kind of apologizing for himself, like even as he's making progress, doing great things. Anytime there's an issue and it involves money, he's like, "Oh, I don't have the money to reimburse people." I'm like, "You're not responsible for reimbursing people if they lose their money in a bad trade on XMR Bazaar." He's just like, really is a great person overall. So yeah, that's the latest with XMR Bazaar. It's super cool, guys. Try it out because it's obviously tipping is cool. You can highlight what you see as the best content. So I'm hoping that will create the right incentive structure to make this a really really quality forum, right? Where we get good content because people are going to want to post here because they're going to get paid to do it. And yeah, it becomes a way to earn Monero. KYC free, right? Just provide some content on here, provide some good content, and start collecting tips. It could be how you get your first Monero on XMR Bazaar is by posting on the forums. So excited about that. I haven't checked out the listings recently, so I don't know if there's anything new and crazy there. We have the guy who put up the listing in Japan. He's going to be coming on soon. I don't think next week, but the week after.
Happy Landing 25.
Yeah, he'll be coming on the show telling us all about Monero in Japan, what the scene is like there. I mean,
did he sell his house? Is that the same guy?
I think the house sold.
Was it on platform?
No, I don't think so. Maybe it just sold and it wasn't for Monero, but he's basically said it sold.
Wow.
But hey, the area sounds pretty cool. It's like the suburbs of Tokyo via bullet train. Which sounds so amazing. And then I'm sure it's, beautiful, pristine. I mean, it's freaking Japan. Quality of life. I don't know. That would be cool. My daughter like really wants to go to Japan. My 11-year-old. So I don't know. Maybe
my house too. While you're there,
buy some land. She should buy some land in Japan on XMR Bazaar as an 11-year-old. Imagine.
You can get, what is this, 2,000 US 7 XMR for 300 to 500 square meters. So just a little tiny plot of land.
But I guess you could get multiple. I don't know.
Interesting.
Yeah, you could put up like a mini home or whatever. It is it's pretty cool. So we'll see where that goes. We're putting the guy on the show. I'm just curious about learning about Monero in Japan. I mean, it's not on any of the exchanges, but it's not banned. It's kind of like New York, right? So people are using it there. I think they acquire it, with cash. I don't think it's like, that big, but I think there is some actual organic usage happening in Japan, which is cool, especially considering that it's not even on centralized exchanges. Quite similar to New York. They got like the megatropolises, the financial capitals cut off from Monero. They really do, man.
They did it pretty early on too, if I remember correctly, compared to other countries.
Yeah, they delisted pretty early. That caused like a drop in Monero price at the time. I remember when South Korea delisted. I remember when South Korea added Monero to their exchanges, and like Monero blew up at that time. And then it led to them pulling Monero off the exchanges eventually. Like, they've really tried to dampen this thing out, guys, and it's only gotten stronger. It's just growing underground, ready to sprout everywhere. Good morning. Raphael saying good morning. Kevin saying good morning. What's up, guys? Good morning from Lakeland, Florida. How you guys doing? We have 53 live viewers. Guys, like and retweet. Let's get some people in here. Best show in crypto. Come on. Monerotopia.
It's coming up in February, right?
Yes. Let me bring that up, although I don't have anything new on the website, I don't think.
The pressure's on big time now that there's no MoneroKon next year.
Oh, yeah. Pressure. That takes off. That makes it like more attractive. Right? Like, guys, it's a no-brainer now. You got to come to Monero. If you want your Monero fix, don't be waiting for MoneroKon. Come to Monerotopia. Yes, so those who don't know, MoneroKon just recently announced that they're not having a MoneroKon this year. They're taking a year off. They're not going to do one in 2026. And I totally, if anybody can feel for them, it's me. I get it. It takes a lot of freaking work. It's not just like the work and energy you put, it's the emotional energy, because you're dealing with so many people, especially them, because they have a committee. Like, oh my God. It's like, it's grueling. I mean, it's a good result. It's a fantastic result. They do everything in a great way. The outcome is amazing. But the process is brutal. So I understand the need for a break. And they'll come back with more energy, and they'll continue on with the momentum. But in the meantime, all we have is Monerotopia, which is not a bad second rock to land on for sure in terms of Monero conferences. We have a great time down there. It's vibrant, energy in the air, amazing people that come out for the conference, the conversations that you're having. And then just the local culture and scene and marketplace is like, you can literally live off Monero there for the 4 days that you're there. And now with MoneroKon waiting, maybe we could pull in some of the Europeans that, only go to MoneroKon. So I'm already trying to, talk to some people. I want to get the German contingent over to Monerotopia. So yeah, anybody that's listening, that's in the MoneroKon scene, in the European Monero scene, if you were ever considering, now's the time. Grab a ticket, come to Monerotopia in February in Mexico City, same venue we did last year. Not much new to announce from last week. There has been a lot of, we're planning a lot, but I'm just not ready to officially announce things yet. So we'll have some good projects involved. I guess I could say yes. So CipherStack, I'm excited about that because basically the CipherStack team is going to be coming in. So Diego, Sarang, maybe a couple other people from the team, and these guys are the ones that are making the big kind of practical contributions to the full chain membership proof implementation. So really excited to have them, right? So we can kind of hear the latest. We'll see what's happening at that point, right? I think full chain membership proof Testnet will certainly be live, right? Tux, what do you think we should expect for full chain membership proofs by conference time?
I mean, fingers crossed. At least testnet. I know these things always end up getting pushed a little further and further, but I think you know what's February, right? That's still a good amount of time.
Yeah.
For testnet too.
Yeah, I'm really hoping for that. And you know, obviously we're looking to have Arctic there. Well, we'd love to have Luke. I don't know if he'll be able to come this year. Justin Berman, we'll see what happens with him. We're trying to get all these guys, but in addition, we're trying to get CipherStack. So that'll be really cool.
Cake Wallet sponsoring. Let's go.
Yes, have you heard? Cake Wallet has obviously been a sponsor of all the Monerotopias from inception. Can't say enough about Cake. I won't ramble on too much now about both of them. I did that last week. But yeah, we're sponsored by Cake Wallet and Edge Wallet, which is pretty epic. And like, yeah, kudos to Vic for being open to allowing us to have a competing wallet also sponsor, right? Because Vic obviously came to us first. The Cake has been sponsoring all these conferences. So yeah, we asked for his permission, right? Like, because Cake is such a reliable sponsor, and he was down for it. And it's great for us. It helps us book another mainstay sponsor, which takes a lot of pressure off of us. Now we have the budget to move forward. And I think it's just going to be a great outcome for the conference, because there's really no better venue place to have wallets come and hang out and compete in the real world. We have a functioning marketplace. And so it is a beautiful testing ground for Monero wallets. And so it should be, that's kind of like the theme. It's a theme every year, but I want it to be even more the theme this year about adoption, right? So we have Cake Wallet, which does things a little differently than Edge, both highly respected wallets for purposes of Monero. And they will be being used live out in the Monero accepting marketplace. Vendors will be using them. Attendees will be using them. Cake and Edge will be learning from their interactions with people as they're using them. I mean, we've learned so much in years past, right? Right, Tux? Like, we're scanning QR codes. We're like, oh, it doesn't work in dark mode when you're doing QR. Like, there's like a million, like, honestly, a lot of things that come up when you're seeing people use it, the usability issues. And let's be honest, right? Like, Cake and Edge both have come a very long way from where they've started. A little different in their approach. Edge using the view key, which leads to more instant usability, arguably potentially sacrificing some privacy. Cake Wallet maintains its pure nature of you hold all your keys, including your view key, but at the sacrifice of some usability. Obviously, there's been great improvements there, but still, right? That's the nature of things. And so excited to have both of these wallets as our sponsors, and the fact that they can be out there using them and with their teams and learning and growing the Monero accepting marketplace and improving their tech. So I want to make the hackathon this year basically about growing adoption in the marketplace, right? So like, just I gotta fine tune it a little bit, but I want it to be focused on that, like improving adoption in the Monero marketplace. And so kind of like best idea, winning idea is somebody that created something that contributed to that Monero accepting marketplace, that makes it flow better, that makes the vendors want to accept Monero more, that makes it easier for vendors to get from Monero back into pesos. I would like the hackathon to be around that. And so I think it's great that we have these wallets participating. I'm going to try to get the Monero ATM guys down there again, like we had last year, but this time we're actually going to try to get an ATM going. So maybe that will be part of the hackathon. Oh, and I should mention Trocador, because they are our official privacy tech sponsor. I love these guys, so easy to work with. Like, hey, you guys want to sponsor again? Bam, no hesitation. Doug, send us a Monero address so we can pay the sponsorship fee, and they're in. These guys, super cool guys, the team that runs it, amazing guys. They really bring a great vibe to the conference. and everything they're doing with Trocador is great. Like I said, we're implementing Trocador into XMR Bazaar. It's just, it's the most, I would say at this point, the most kind of popular, trusted way to swap between cryptos using an instant exchange. People trust Trocador, and you get the best prices because of the way their system brings in multiple coin swaps. So yeah, super excited to have them. And then we'll be at MoneroKon obviously is already an official sponsor. They're in Adoption Alley. So anybody that wants to be a sponsor, reach out. We're going to be adding the privacy tech projects. This will be adding projects like Basic Swap, Infero, Pirate Chain will probably be participating this year. Xano. Oh, I gotta mention Xano will be out. It's not completely official yet, but they will 100% be sponsoring and attending. I guess I could say now Xano is our VIP dinner sponsor. We haven't completely closed the deal, but it's closed now. Xano is our VIP dinner sponsor, but they're also obviously one of our privacy tech projects. So super excited to have them. I'm talking to Zcash, making progress there. Guys. I can see the controversy already. There's no other Monero conference to go to this year. You're forced to go to Monerotopia and hang out with Zcash. I mean, it doesn't get better than. I'm super excited for the potential of having Zcash.
Did they do it last year? I know you tried.
No, they didn't do it. One year we had a guy who did a remote talk, and so I shouldn't downplay that because he was actually really great. And I forget his name. And he was from the Zcash community, and he basically talked about the difference between Zcash and Monero in terms of how we fund our development, right? And how Zcash uses the dev tax, essentially. Monero doesn't have that. Anyway, this year I'm looking to actually get, reps to come in person, give a talk on Zcash, listen, hate them, whatever, be tribal about it. But the fact is, these guys have led the way in terms of what the privacy tech ultimately needs to be, right? And Monero is implementing with full chain membership proofs is effectively an iteration of Zcash's zero knowledge proof system, right? Obviously built from scratch, but same concept, right? We're going from ring signatures to essentially a full anonymous set. And Zcash has been on the cutting edge of that tech. I personally am not one of these people who ignores that. I think that's silly to put your head in the ground. I think they're doing interesting things. They've been around for as long as Monero's been around. There's the criticisms with how basically they're structured and whatnot, and I get that. I understand that. I think Monero has many advantages, biggest one being that it has first mover advantage. For example, everybody in this marketplace, they're accepting Monero, right? People use Monero. People have grown to trust Monero, and they know that Monero is constantly evolving for purposes of being digital cash at no sacrifice, right? Zcash arguably is okay with integrating with exchanges if needed to change, okay with kind of, altering for purposes of integrating with, the current financial banking system, right? Whereas Monero wants to be an island of its own, and it's committed to that at no sacrifice. I would say those are the two major differences, and that's really what's given Monero the advantage. But I don't think you could ignore Zcash's tech, and super excited to have them. I can't. They haven't committed yet, but I am talking to them, so it's likely that happens. Enough shilling for now. A lot coming together. Reach out, Monerotopia at protonmail.com. If you want to be a sponsor, if you want to come speak, about whatever it is, obviously something related to Monero and adoption, opting out, reach out to us, Monerotopia at protonmail.com. You want to come vend, set up your stall, send, we try to give people free spots. If you're somebody, you're not like a business, you're not an instant exchange, you're just somebody who's doing this for the love of the game. We can find you a spot to come sell whatever it is you're selling at Monerotopia. You can grab your tickets. They're super cheap. And if you're a local there and you have no money, you can essentially come for free. There's a free local admission. It won't get you into the dome, but we make this as accessible as possible. Obviously, if you have the funds, we ask that you buy a ticket. You buy a general admission ticket. It's only $99. VIP is awesome because you get all the extra swag, and most importantly, you get to come to the speaker dinner. So enough shilling there. I will leave it at that. And yeah, we could jump to the news, and then we could have Bawdy, and then we could have Tux give us an update on Cake. And I will have to kind of fall into the background over here a little bit. I have some family stuff going on, so I'm hoping to put this a little bit in cruise control. You guys could just move forward with the show. We do have Tux today. Tux is an expert co-pilot. Tux, I hope you don't mind. I'll be checking in, but I'm going to need to step back a little bit, and we'll just let the show go. And then obviously we'll have viewers on stage at the end. Anybody who wants to jump up, talk about what's going on in Monero land, we'll do that as our final segment. So, Tux, you want to go ahead and run news? We'll get Tony.
All right, guys, let's go ahead and do the news with Tony this time.
The Monerotopia Weekly News segment is sponsored by WizardSwap.io, a non-custodial cryptocurrency exchange.
Hey guys, what's up?
What's up, Tony? I see Privacy OG saying, actually, I was working with another guy who used to have Monero YouTube channel, also Aussie, to make Monero conferences down here, but I found barely anyone willing to help. Yeah, that's the hard part. I think that's what Monerotopia has done well, right? We have a great group of a network of people that are in it for all the right reasons that want to help. Yeah, we need to expand that network globally. We need to see conferences blossoming up around different parts of the world. I'm more than willing to move Monerotopia after this one in Mexico City. It's just there's just so many positives to keeping it here and growing it and keeping the inertia growing, and the venue is amazing and the market. But I'm definitely like, potentially considering going. I've been talking about that forever, right? I mean, it's enticing, right? The novelty of saying, let's do it in Buenos Aires. Let's do it in Japan, right? It's technically legal there, right? Like, how awesome would it be to have a Monerotopia in Japan? Oh my God,
that would be friggin' amazing. Obviously, that'd be incredibly expensive, and not very many people could actually go to that one. But
right, it would have to be more
really
like
amazing.
Local people from that side of the world. I don't know how big.
Like
I don't know
Happy
how
Landing 45, they can come and sell property.
Yeah, we could have it on their property.
That'll be awesome.
If we could buy the property and throw them in Monerotopia.
Or just rent it.
Oh, we have our first XMRchat of the day. Cyrus tipped $4.98. I don't know how much Monero that is. I gotta fix. We gotta fix that so it shows the Monero amount. I don't know why it's not showing the XMR amount. I went to Steak and Shake yesterday for a burger and noticed they're accepting Bitcoin now. Very cool, very cool. Yeah, I think I had heard that announcement at some point, right? I think, Tux, didn't you take advantage of that? I spoke to the manager about it, and he said they may be accepting other cryptocurrencies in the future. I shilled Monero, of course. God bless. Yeah, I guess depending on what, I'm sure they're using, they're probably using Coinbase or something to accept. What are they using as their?
I don't remember what they're using. I think it was some partially custom solution. Yeah. But I did go back in, what was that, May, I think, in Vegas. There was next to the Bitcoin conference. Went to Steak and Shake, paid with Lightning, the thing, whatever. It's fine. It worked. Nothing crazy. I'm trying to remember what system they used. I'll have to find out again. I imagine if they accept other currencies, though, it's going to be like Solana or stable coins, or stable coins on Solana, stable coins on Bitcoins with their layer 2s. So I imagine it's not going to be, Monero is probably not within the realm of even being considered. We tend to forget sometimes Monero is still relatively niche as far as like crypto goes. Like crypto OGs know about it, but like the masses and their perception of cryptocurrency, Monero is really not quite there. So
yeah. What I would say to that though is, don't assume, they're not adding it because they can't add it or whatever it is. Like it's up to us to grow adoption at this point. Especially here in the U.S., you can legally use Monero. You can legally accept Monero pretty much anywhere, even here in New York. So to kind of be like, oh, but they don't accept, like, we got to get them to accept Monero, right? And so it's up to us to do that, to grow it. Like, a lot of people don't realize, I mean, Monero, there are ATMs in the U.S. that you could get Monero at. I mean, that's kind of, people kind of overlook that, right?
The Byte Federal ones.
Yeah, there's a lot of adoption that should happen in that area, right? There should be easy access to Monero ATMs. Like, we can grow that if there's demand for it. Obviously, I think the issue is a lot of people don't want to get KYC'd, right? So there's that, which is why I'm excited about this ATM idea that we're trying to do at Monerotopia. The idea being to kind of make it not a traditional ATM, but think of it more as a local Monero machine that brings together buyers and sellers for peer-to-peer transactions.
That's just Alaskanon, right? That's just him.
That's it. It's just we'll just have him standing there with like a box that says ATM, Monero ATM. Yes, exactly. That is essentially what I'm trying to do. That's exactly what I'm trying to do. But yeah, trying to get that going at the venue at Monerotopia. I mean, these guys, you've seen the Monero ATM thing they built at MoneroKon, right?
Oh, that was super cool.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So
yeah, that one's
they have
sick.
They have the software for it, and it can be tweaked in ways where essentially that's what it becomes. Its own self-sustaining, peer-to-peer, secure box for trading cash to Monero. Right? And at that point, you're not a money transmitter. You're just this device that's being used, and you set it up in a way where it's not taking fees. Yeah, this is what I've been thinking about, and I think just giving you an example, right, of things that can be done to grow adoption for Monero. So that's an idea I've been thinking about recently, and then trying to incorporate that into XMR Bazaar, because you're coordinating the buyers and the sellers. So there's so much to do in terms of adoption, and I hate when people are like, yeah, I just feel like they're they're kind of shrugging, like, but they don't accept Monero. Like, we got to make that happen. It's up to us to make that happen. See it as opportunity. See it as you're in Bitcoin in 2013 right now, 2012, in terms of like level of adoption.
Yep.
And so see that as opportunity to be part of the the class that actually gets the adoption going, and you will benefit greatly from that as it grows.
And if it doesn't exist, actually, perfect. And you do it. Like, for example, for Privacy OG, he talked about the Australia, and then he wanted to make a conference. So it doesn't exist and nobody was helping you.
Right.
Perfect. Keep pushing it. Go on XMR Bazaar, go on Reddit and find people. And
right.
actually
Reach out to us. Be like, yo, let's bring Monerotopia there. Yeah, do whatever you gotta. Yeah, get it going. If you start running with the ball, people will jump on.
Yes.
People will come behind you.
And we'll give you a shout out here. We'll talk about it. I mean, you can come on and talk about it, and we'll help you. I've held for Monero Tail Mission like a little gathering, and it was just literally me and my two friends. And what was the speaker at Monerotopia, the first one, and that's it. Nobody else came. I posted online, and that's okay.
This is in Florida.
Yeah, that was in West Palm Beach, and that was when Monero Tail Mission kicked in.
Oh, yes. I remember that. Yeah.
It was just literally me and my two friends.
Yeah.
So it's fun.
Like, I got to get the meetups going again in New York. We have PubKey, which Vic is a part of now, that bar. Yep. We got to start doing regular meetups there. I'm sure Vic would be totally down for that. I would like to do one on the Bit license. Still not too late. I want to try to make it happen this fall. I think that's something we could get together. But yeah, wherever you are, start doing, monthly or quarterly meetups.
Yep.
With the concept of trading cash to Monero always being part of that, right? You could meet up to give a presentation on full chain membership proofs, whatever it may be, but also have the element being people are coming together to trade goods and services for Monero, cash for Monero, right? That's what we got to start having more of those events. I'm going to start building things into XMR Bazaar to make that more conducive, kind of like a meetup listing option. So people can list reoccurring meetups. Like Monerotopia will literally become one of those listed on there, right? Like, oh, it's a yearly conference that happens here, and people can join the meetup. They can click to join it, so you get alerts, right? So then you could have the Chicago Nick Fuentes Monero meetup.
That's so sick. That would be so awesome.
Like, I'm sure Tux would want to be on that meetup list. I would want to be on that meetup list. Yeah, so people can throw their meetups wherever they are. The Monero-based meetups have a reoccurring thing. You can join it, get the message when they're going to meet. You could coordinate, have a chat going on there, talking about, keep conversation going. Yeah, man.
That's a great idea. That's super cool. So Privacy OG, you have so many reasons now to start doing it in Australia. Soon enough, you can post it on XMR Bazaar. Hopefully that's going to be a thing.
Yeah, and, will 100% be a thing. Yeah.
So
we will come to you. If costs permit.
Yeah, but it's so exciting. You're doing so much for this space. It's crazy. You're doing so many things, and you have so many ideas. That's awesome.
Dude, I wish I had a bigger team helping Anarchio out with XMR Bazaar. I feel like there's a lot we can do to... I want to obviously we need to add language features, right? So when you're logging in Buenos Aires, it should feel native and obviously in Spanish.
Spanish, yeah.
Be more locally based to where you are. It shouldn't be like somebody in Argentina is be like, oh, I want to create the Argentinian version of XMR Bazaar. No, they should want to use XMR Bazaar. So it should just so we can bring more people. Right, we need that network effect.
Yep.
That's what will really get the Monero economy going on a global scale, is when somebody in New York jumps on Monerotopia, on XMR Bazaar and can rent an Airbnb in Buenos Aires for the next weekend, right? Like, that's when things are really cooking.
And what I love about it, and I guess we can get into the news section too, is the fact that, and I'll start sharing this one. People, they sell stuff on XMR Bazaar, but sometimes it's just very niche things. Like this guy sends cigarettes from Poland to the Netherlands.
I guess there's probably a financial benefit there, to be honest.
Yeah. And
there's this one obscure tax loophole where if he sells cigarettes only to the Netherlands, then it's a tax write-off or something.
Oh, for sure, it's cheaper in Poland. For sure, the Netherlands. So there we go. Yeah, this guy just literally wants somebody to send him cheap cigarettes. There's so many just obscure and very specific things.
It's the free market, man. The free market in action.
And then I was thinking too, the forum, maybe we're gonna have XMR Bazaar influencers. If you're doing really good on the forum and you're really providing value and you're getting tips and stuff like that, you can become one of the first influencers.
Yeah, we could start gamifying the forum, right? Show top contributors, right? Yeah.
How many days? This is the 7th day in a row you logged in, and you started so many chats. And
Monero Maverick can come to the forums and take them over and be the top contributor. Hey, it can happen. It can happen.
Yeah.
If he's contributing positive Monero content.
Yeah. Then so be it.
I mean, we have a section obviously we have this thing sectioned off, right? So purely Monero content in one area. We have a casual chat. We have a serious chat. So you could find your corner to discuss whatever you want to discuss. And the best stuff will rise to the top. The undesirable stuff probably won't get tipped and won't be encouraged.
Yep. It fixed so many things. And I see so many posts like the free next one that I'm going to show. For example, this guy wants us to buy digital goods that are popular among Monero users. So he wants to buy, I guess just digital games and whatever. But okay, so depending on what game you want to buy, you can get a gift card. You can get a Steam gift card that people are selling that I've seen on XMR Bazaar. You can maybe just find the the keys for that game, and then this person, they want to sell Amazon gift cards. So he has Amazon gift cards, and he wants Monero for them. Well, yeah, maybe set up yourself as a seller on XMR Bazaar. There we go. And then Kofnix, $5. Thank you so much. I'd like to send regards to Revolut, Douglas, Tuman, and Tuxedo, and congratulate them for the excellent work in promoting Monero and addressing important topics.
Yeah, let me read that one out loud. Yeah, Kofnix, I've seen this guy on Twitter. You're welcome to jump up, man, for viewers on stage. He's putting good content out there. Also encourage you, man, to post on the forums. So he tipped a very generous tip, $4.98. I'd like to send regards to Tony, Douglas Tuman, and Tuxedo, and congratulate them for the excellent work in promoting Monero and addressing important topics. These live streams are of public interest and help newcomers avoid falling for misinformation. Yeah, 100%. That's why we do these shows. And it's also a great place to just bring out new ideas. It's this open platform, as permissionless as we could, be given the technology. Obviously, we don't want trolls up here. But we have an open platform. Viewers on stage, everybody come up. Anything you're working on, any concerns you have, you come air it out. Thank you, man. Appreciate the tip.
Yeah, thank you so much, man. And I also want to mention on that list, Bawdy. Come on. Bawdy is amazing. And
Bawdy, yeah. The amount of value Bawdy brings to this show. Cannot thank him enough. And he refused to even allow us to pay him. A lot of people don't even know that. So he's extremely generous with his time and contributions, and they're extremely valuable. Not to mention the contributions he's been making to Monero itself. But we don't need to get into that now. I'm sure Bawdy will give us an update on what he's been working on in terms of actually contributing to Monero. But yeah, huge thank you to Bawdy.
And then, besides all of us, we do have to mention Sonita, because that's the woman powering the man behind it all.
This is why you're Sunita's favorite, man. This is why now you're making me look bad. You brought it up, not me. Tony, come on, man. Couldn't DM me on the side? Yeah, mention Sunita. 100%.
100%.
But for Sunita, none of this would be happening.
Yeah.
Definitely. 100%. Keeps us going.
Yep.
Thank you, Sunita.
Next
She's
one.
not watching right now.
Yeah. And then how to contribute getting to Monero without being able to purchase any. So this guy, he's young, he's underage, he said, and then he doesn't want to purchase Monero for KYC. That's what he's basically talking about. He doesn't have any coding skills, and he wants to contribute. Well, if you want to contribute and you want to make some Monero, well, again, XMR Bazaar is awesome, and you can do so many things. I mean, maybe you like coding, so maybe get into coding and then maybe become a dev and start a CCS, or see what skills you have, any value that you can provide, and then provide it on XMR Bazaar. And yeah, so that's how you can make some Monero. Think about ways
to start with forum posts. Come put up some quality forum posts, things that teach people. You could even put up a post how to use XMR Bazaar or whatever it may be.
Yep.
I'm sure you'll get tips.
Oh, for sure. Okay, so enough of XMR Bazaar for now. Now this one I actually just saw just a couple of minutes ago, and it's cool. So this is the Monero-Oxide Bug Bounty. Privacy code gets real money behind it. So IRS had, and I think they had two $625,000 bounties on Monero, which they were unsuccessful. And that was in 2020. So yeah, I think they had two bug bounties of that amount. And that was some pretty big money. And it's been a while. But Power Up Privacy just dropped $100,000 on a bug bounty for Monero-Oxide, which is a set of audited Rust libraries that re-implements Monero's transactions protocol from scratch, and which also evolved from Monero's RI. So that's huge. And it's so awesome, the fact that we're trying to evolve Monero. And then the next thing is, okay, let's also attack it. And, let's see how that reacts. And then sometimes we just get attacked by things like Qubic and all these other things. And look at us. I mean, we learn from it, we post about it, we talk about it, and then we just move on and get better. So that's awesome. That's good stuff. And then let's see. Okay. Yeah, this one is huge. It's actually really big that MoneroKon, and Docs mentioned it. MoneroKon is not going to happen in 2026. So they wrote that for all the reasons above, we, the staff team, have decided to not move forward with MoneroKon 2026 in Prague. This was not a decision we made lightly. After all, this has been our passion project, and we'll miss the event and the people we've made friends with over the years. However, this is not the end of MoneroKon. To the contrary, we want to take a break to recover so we can resume with MoneroKon 2027 and actually enjoy the process. This decision also gives us the time to figure out better solutions for payments, streamline our processes, and refocus on creating the MoneroKon experience without sacrificing ourselves in the process. So it's sad. It's and it's a whole year, so it's gonna be quite a long time.
Big sad.
7 doesn't feel good, but guys, there's that's why we have Monerotopia as well, and they're in different times. So definitely try to make it to Monerotopia. And it's in Mexico again, and then who knows where it's going to be next time. It's exciting because Dog is open to other locations too. So, yeah, but this is sad. Then this is cool, and it's so true to probably so many of us, including me. I used to have, like years ago, I used to be a Bitcoin maxi with laser eyes on Twitter. That's how I used to be. And then, so Bitcoin opens your eyes, but then Monero will radicalize you if you're open-minded. And being open-minded is so important. And that's why it's cool if Zcash comes to the conference as well. It's important that we have more privacy projects, not just Monero. There's so many currencies around the world: the euro, the dollar, the Australian dollar, Great British Pound. So I'm okay with having personally, as long as they're private and as robust as Monero, multiple Monero variants. Let's say like competition. If it's good, and why not? So the more the better, because it's not about maximalism and tribalism. It's just about what works, and keeping away from the attacks that our governments are using on us across all fields: privacy, education, everything, all the shit they do. But then I want to mention a little bit just community crowdfunding system, CCS. Again, if you have any idea, maybe you want to get into coding, get into it and try to contribute. Think of ideas. If you have any ideas, do it. Start working on it. Why not? You're the first one thinking about it. That's awesome. Do it, and you have so much support from us, Reddit, and so many people. So if you ever have any ideas, pitch it in. Maybe we can help. Post on Reddit and make it happen. Like Privacy OG again. If you make a conference in Australia, that'll be awesome, man. That'll be really cool. Then how risky is Monero? Somebody listened to a video from Mental Outlaw, which I did not see this one, but one of his comments allegedly insinuated that running a Monero node was seen in a negative light according to law enforcement. Is this true? As a beginner to crypto, is it unwise of me to run a node on my computer? Well, I guess depends on your jurisdiction, but I mean, generally it's safe to do, and we encourage you to do it. Let's see how governments around the world and how much more attention Monero is going to get as we're getting FCMP and all these things that will make it just on a different level. And I'm curious if IRC or any big organizations that are going to put any bug bounties, which are probably going to be way more than $600,000 to try to crack Monero. A lot of money. It's probably going to be a lot of money because it just keeps getting stronger and stronger. So don't be scared, I guess, depending on where you are, and just, run the node. And also, I know one time I've seen something along the lines like, if Monero, what's the value proposition of Monero? And it's the ultimate value proposition. It gives you privacy, and nobody wants to give you privacy nowadays. That's the ultimate value proposition. Or people say, should I buy some? Well, that's on you, but it's the ultimate value proposition. It's the ultimate test of just intelligence and everything. Just pure privacy. that just keeps getting better and doesn't beg for help or anything. It just does its thing and protects the good people, and then does protect the bad people as well. But that's more so on education to lower the crimes and everything, not just no privacy because we gotta solve all these crimes and blah 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 and all these terrorism. No, it's just poor education, and governments are just being lazy. Fix your economies, fix your education, then you'll have way less of everything. Now, Qubic, documenting the rise of Qubic from a fabricated 51% attack, arrogance of its founder, and fall of its price after finding out Monero was never successfully attacked, minus 59% down from its 3,300. So, and here is a couple posts. Let's see. So some Mr. Light Movies said, don't play the victim cards on Qubic. Qubic simply demonstrates the power it gets. I want to see fear in their eyes when XMR is at 0. Just crazy stuff. Monero will stay because Qubic wanted it to stay. Jesus Christ, people actually say that. Wow, okay. That's intense. Calm down, guys. Just calm down. But yeah. And then 10 days have passed since the last major Monero reorg, and Qubic's pool is nowhere to be found. So yeah, we survived yet another attack. And now I did see this meme. Yeah, it was like I've seen this meme in 2020. I think when it was actually posted as well, and Untraceable reposted it as well. And this meme worked in 2016. It probably worked even in 2020. Banks don't like Bitcoin. Taxis don't like Uber. Hotels don't like Airbnb. Bookstores don't like Amazon. Cinemas don't like Netflix. Oil companies don't like Tesla. Innovation is not always liked. Well,
Dude,
Bitcoin
who's got the clip? I need the clip of the FBI saying they prefer people to use Bitcoin instead of cash because it's more easily traceable.
Oh, I haven't seen that. If you can
Somebody
find
at the FBI said that.
Oh,
a while
what?
ago. Yeah.
I haven't seen that. Well, that's funny. But yeah, well, they love Bitcoin. So does the government. They own it now, which is still kind of crazy to me. It's also crazy how he made Trump coin just before he got elected. That was crazy too. And now it's not much. And World Liberty Financial, like he doesn't care about privacy, it seems. So yeah, it's not going to change the world if you buy into WLI.
I mean, obviously, a lot of people didn't like the Trump coin. It was soured a lot of people eyes. But like ultimately, if we look at it this way, it kind of was a good thing because him doing this ridiculous, shitty meme coin, whatever, right before him being elected, kind of gives precedent to the fact that like crypto is going to be allowed to exist without all of the harshness that was from the previous administration.
True.
Yeah, sure. It's like a stupid thing that he's selling. That's, I wouldn't say it's inherently a scam, but it's, it's a money grab. But in doing that, it kind of shows that, they're going to like kind of let this thing exist and they're not going to like make it hard for people to operate with crypto. So we'll see if that translates to privacy. But so far, so good, I guess.
So far, so good. That's a good way to put it. Yeah.
So far.
Yeah. Yeah, I like the way you put it. Yeah, for sure. Gives a bit of trust. Actually, we'll talk about Samurai a little bit in a second. Now this one, let's see, what was this one? This one was cool. Oh yeah, this one was cool. That's a cool post. So this one is from Coin Speaker. So let's just go back to this one and then see. So Monero received nearly $1 million donations in 2025 for development funding and more. And Untraceable is in this article as well, which is awesome. And then going back to that X post. So the CSS received in 2025 $1 million, 3,086 Monero in donations. So that's 2025 alone. And this included FCMP++ implementation, Carrot, just crazy stuff, FCMP support for hardware wallets, corporate development, GUI and CLI dev work, Monero core code, third-party code audits, And then wallet development, Feather wallet, research funding, 51 attacks, network simulation tool, Bitcoin Pay server, just a lot of stuff. And that's a lot of money, and that's awesome. If you guys, want to contribute, that's another way. It's just to donate money to the devs that are putting the work. And then I think I had, okay. So then Untraceable posted more stats about what we just talked about. And since 2020, 35,916.92 Monero has been donated. $10 million. That's crazy. And then 630, so $189,000 was donated just last week. Well, that was posted on September 18th, but yeah. So this month, that's quite a bit of money.
That is really impressive. That's a lot more than I would have expected, actually.
Same. Especially the 10 million in 5 years. Yeah. That's super awesome. And then, I guess while I'm at it, because I had this open, because I was looking at some of his stuff. Definitely follow Untraceable. A lot of good stuff. And then he's been getting a lot of followers. That's awesome. He's at 18K. So if you haven't followed Untraceable, don't trace me, bro. Then go ahead. He's posting a lot of good stuff. Now let's see. We talked about this. Okay. Ooh, God. Okay. So let's talk about UK and their free of charge digital ID mandatory. Okay. Let's watch this video.
Today, I am announcing this government will make a new free of charge digital ID mandatory for the right to work by the end of this parliament. Let me spell that out. You will not be able to work in the United Kingdom if you do not have digital ID. It's as simple as that.
All right, buddy, you don't need to spell it out. We get it. Oh, God, that's so sinister and so disgusting. And that's coming soon, actually. But the fact that the way he phrased it just so makes me want to just puke. Free of charge. So free of charge digital ID. You don't have to pay for it, and it's mandatory. Imagine having to pay for it too, as well.
Hey, I mean, they have the TV license, and it's mandatory, and you pay for it if you have a TV in your house. So it wouldn't surprise me either way.
You have a TV license?
Yes, they have a TV license, and if you have a TV in your house, you have to pay for it, even if you don't watch the BBC or public TV. Yep.
Okay, I didn't know that. Okay. So, guys, you're getting a discount on this one if you're in the UK. It's crazy. A digital ID. And then, let's see. There's a couple things they mentioned. Smart cities to monitor devices and sensors transmitting data such as energy usage, air quality, traffic congestion. E-government for citizens to access and use services, file taxes, vote, collect benefits. Yeah, it's going to be used for a lot of stuff. Food and sustainability for farmers and consumers to verify provenance of produce because they care. And to enhance value and traceability in supply chains. Yeah, because they care a lot. Social platforms for social interactions to access third-party services that rely on social media logins. We already know that people are getting jailed for their opinions in the UK. We talked about it in the past. There we go. Oof, that's crazy stuff.
Wait, bro, you weren't allowed to post that meme.
Oof, but can you imagine? He just posted about Monero. We have Monero UK. Oh,
it's true. We do have Monero UK.
His name is just a crime. Could be a crime, like just his name. Oof! Oh my God, that's just Now
I want to point out though that there's a lot of people who are like, I guess rightfully like concerned about this. It is funny though that we already have this in the United States, and we already have for like 10 to 20 years. I don't know if it's quite to the same degree as like what's being proposed here, but Real ID, a lot of people don't realize Real ID is basically that, and it was created almost 2 decades ago, and now it's required if you get a driver's license. And I'm not saying that to make it be like a good thing, but we already technically have it. And what that means is that the physical information on your ID is inside a federal database that can be accessed by law enforcement. So that's it basically.
Yep. And you have so many things tied to your name. And then, if you have Coinbase and whatever, they want a lot of stuff from you. Yeah, your data is everywhere. And then,
take back to the day I could just create a Coinbase account and just add a debit card and I could just buy whatever I wanted. Dude, like 10 years ago, amazing. You could do anything online and there was like you could create a PayPal account, you could create a Coinbase account, a Binance account, whatever. You didn't need to give them anything. You just needed to have a payment method and that was it.
Even in 2021, like KuCoin, you didn't have to give them anything pretty much. And you can do stuff, and then just slowly they started introducing things as well. And then, so like Talk said, we've been having this for, decades. But then if you really think about it, we had a bit of a breather from communism. It wasn't digital, but it's just making a come back digital. So
I guess the main concern now is how this is going to be taken advantage of going forward and being used to force people to, use, you want to use, fucking internet. You got to show your ID. I'll do a couple super chats if you don't mind me reading out real quick. Privacy OG tipped 50 cents. Shout out to Monero Talk. It was what got me into Monero. Dude, largely the same for me, honestly. As a privacy advocate, I originally was looking into Zcash, which hadn't launched because I'm a Snowden fan, but then I accidentally came across Monero Talk. Now I stay up 1 a.m. to 4 a.m. waiting for live stream. Whoa, this guy stays up late. Wow, I'll respect. Thank you, Privacy OG. Appreciate that. Neil is tipped 35 cents. Much love as always, but keep in mind that you're shadow banned on YouTube. Look at the view count. I really recommend you guys to circumvent that situation by showing up on podcasts with large audiences. That's where the big visibility potential is. IMO. That is a good point. I think the last time Doug was on a larger podcast was probably Luke Radowski's show. So maybe we'll have to see if there's any people who would facilitate Monero being on there.
Thank you guys for the donations and Privacy OG, definitely OG, man. You're staying up late for us. Thank you. Thanks for that. And he also said, great Australia, which usually follows UK, with probably digital ID crap. It does tend to do that, yeah. It's just I don't even want to think about it. But let's move on. A couple more things. Okay, I have one more Monero or crypto-related thing, and then just three political things, and then that's it. So the sentencing of the Samurai Wallet Bitcoin devs happens November 6th. Never forget the sacrifices they made to protect your right to privacy and self-custody of Bitcoin. They go down in history as heroes and freedom fighters. True cyberpunks to the end. #free samurai. Yeah, it's sad. And hopefully they will be free soon. Now, okay, let's show this clip about Netanyahu and him meeting with US influencers, most likely on Israel's payroll, to discuss how they can brainwash evangelicals back to supporting Israel. He explains the most important war for Israel is on social media, and their two top targets are TikTok, of course, and X. TikTok is, I never really used it, and I got rid of it because I wasn't using it anyway, but TikTok is just crazy. You just keep scrolling and scrolling and scrolling, and it's sick. All right, let's watch this.
My first published paper was how you and the Likud party are cut from the same ideological cloth as Trump and the GOP in America. And so specifically with Charlie Kirk's assassination, who was a big mentor of mine, who's my first mentor in the space, evangelicals, from all my research, evangelicals are the reason that Israel has been supported in public sphere outside of just Jews. So with Charlie's assassination and with the kind of trajectory that we see with like Candace Owens and Tucker Carlson, I guess I'm curious about what's another game plan if we lose evangelical support for the state of Israel. What's our backup plan to be strong, like outside of the diaspora?
Christian influencers. Okay. You said you talked about the woke right. And he said, I call it the woke Reich. That's a brilliant observation. The woke Reich, because these people, they're not any different from the woke left. I mean, they're insane. They're loonies. But they're actually meeting on some of the things. And what we have to do is we have to secure that part of the base of our support in the United States. That is being challenged systematically. A lot of this is done with money. Money of NGOs, vast. Money of governments, vaster. Okay? We have to fight back. How do we fight back? Our influencers. I think you should also talk to them if you have a chance. To that community, they're very important. And secondly, we're going to have to use the tools of battle. The weapons change over time. You can't fight today with swords. That doesn't work very well. Okay, and you can't fight with cavalry. That doesn't work very well. And you have these new things, like drones, things like that. I won't get into that. But we have to fight with the weapons that apply to the battlefields in which we're engaged. And the most important ones are in social media. And the most important purchase that is going on right now is TikTok. TikTok, number one. And I hope it goes through because it's. And the other one, what's the other one? That's most important. X. That's very good. And
very good.
Yeah, good job, guys. Good clap. It feels like a bit of like we're just monkeys in the crowd. Like, what's the first one, guys? TikTok, yay!
And it's like a class. It's just like little children. Yeah. I love how we oh no, China can't have our data. No, China, no, they can't have TikTok. And then we just basically gave it to Israel.
Yeah.
We gave it to Larry Ellison, who isn't Israeli. He owns Oracle. So he's also a U.S. citizen, but he's also an Israeli. We kind of basically sort of gave it to Israel, which is really funny. It's like, oh no, China, but then that's fine. You can give it to Israel. That's okay.
And it's hard for people to stop using TikTok too because it's so addictive and it just keeps going and going and going, and it's all about just seeking your attention. So this is a different crowd that we're speaking to right now on the Monerotopia, but a lot of people are just glued to TikTok, and it's very sad because how could it be good information if they have only a couple seconds to hook your attention before you scroll to the next one and the next one and the next one? And God, they get hundreds of thousands of likes for stupid stuff, super stupid stuff. Personally, I haven't even been using X because there's just so much heavy opinion on it that it's just too much. I just look for Monero stuff, a couple stuff, and then I try to get out. I don't know, personally, it just feels kind of heavy. And also Instagram and other platforms as well, Facebook, they changed the algorithm too to be more like TikTok. TikTok has a massive effect on all the other ones. And now you see a post from your friend, then you see an ad, then you see somebody from something international. And then, the algorithm just changed so much, and it's so crap. And I'm fine with it. I was never addicted, but now it's even more. I just get a book and whatever. Negras Tormentas, give it to Israel, give it to US intelligence. Pretty much. Yep. And now, since we're on the topic of TikTok, there we go. And also what's interesting about TikTok is that before the parents would tell the kids, stop spending so much time on the internet, get out, go play, go do something. But now I see the adults getting so hooked on these things. And Facebook Reels even scrolls for you once the video is done. You don't even have to do anything. It just does it for you.
Oh, dude, there are adult friends I have that they're cooked, man. They're fucking cooked. They got sucked in.
Yeah. And I'm joking with them. I tell them, man, I gotta put some parental control on your phone because and then you do it before you sleep. And then, or the thing is, you try to fill the gap with these things that just brainwash you. Whereas it's okay to be bored, and actually it's very good to be bored, because then if you think about stuff, if you're always just engaged and so they're trying to destroy us That's why we talk about these things, because it's just so important, people's education. They're trying to steal our privacy, and then making us dumb is perfect. You won't even know. You don't even care. You just, sign me up. Digital ID. Yeah, it's so easy. It's so cool. Like, it's just, you're done. Nobody cares. Just let me watch my TikTok or whatever. Now this one, I've actually haven't seen this one, so it'll be live for me too. I'm interested. So President Trump has just signed an executive order making TikTok deal official, saving the platform, and putting it under majority American control. America will now control the algorithm. The Chinese Communist Party will no longer poison the minds of our kids. Oh God. That's so cringe. Okay, so let's watch this. But yeah, that's interesting. Is that even possible? They just bought it? Or?
Next, sir, we have an executive order on TikTok. From the first days of your administration, you've charged a team from your administration, led by Vice President Vance, with ensuring that we can preserve TikTok as a platform for the 170 million Americans who use it, while ensuring that their data is properly protected as required by law. With this executive order, you will be effectively bringing into effect the agreement that will save TikTok and ensure that it can operate safely and securely.
So this is interesting because I had a very good talk with President Xi. A lot of respect for him. Hopefully he has a lot of respect for me too. And we talked about TikTok and other things, but we talked about TikTok, and he gave us the go-ahead. You know, it's run by American investors and American companies, great ones, great investors.
Air quote American.
You don't get bigger, I don't imagine. And maybe I'll have JD. JD was very much involved and in charge of it. And maybe I'll have you say a few words about the deal. He would report back, and the points of the deal, I think, are great for our country. So JD, do you want to give it a little talk, please?
Yes, sir. Yeah. So thank you, sir, for your leadership and for your help. We really couldn't have done this without the president actually ushering this deal over the finish line. There was some resistance on the Chinese side, but the fundamental thing that we wanted to accomplish is that we wanted to keep TikTok operating, but we also wanted to make sure that we protected Americans' data privacy as required by law, both because it's the right thing to do, but also because it's a legal requirement of the law that was passed last year by Congress. So I think that we were able to do that. Of course, we're going to keep on working at it, but this deal really does mean that Americans can use TikTok, but actually use it with more confidence than they had in the past, because their data is going to be secure and it's not going to be used as a propaganda weapon against our fellow citizens. We're very excited about it. We appreciate the cooperation of everybody involved, and it's a big day.
And I think I can say that especially the young people, they really wanted this to happen. They did not want to have TikTok close. And I got, a little used to TikTok. I used it myself during the campaign, and it was very successful.
They got Trump.
You know how I did with the young voter. And Charlie helped me a lot too. And he said to me, you should go on TikTok. And it actually had, because we got record votes with the young voter, as you know, for the election. So I was a little bit prejudiced in that way toward TikTok. It was very good and very meaningful. But we have American investors taking it over, running it, highly sophisticated.
All right, let's see the American investors. So here's a big one. What we just talked about.
Here's your fellow American investor.
His English is very good, man. I was actually thinking about it. What the hell? I still have such a heavy accent, and this guy is just... That's crazy. But anyway, what do you guys think in the comments? What do you guys think about this? I mean, for me... I wish they would just say, because it's data privacy and the commies and the
what data privacy though? It's like we don't unless you live in California and you have the whatever they call it, the California Privacy Act. There's very, very little privacy regulation in the United States. So there's not that much benefit to moving it here, if for that reason, dude was I'm like, what law, bro? What data privacy? Sure, we have some rights, but they're very, very loose, and companies can largely do what they want as long as it's covered in the TOS or the privacy policy.
Mm-hmm. But then, and they don't talk about this because they don't want to, but beyond privacy, which anyway, you're not getting data privacy and all these things. besides all these things, why they can't just say, okay, guys, don't use so much TikTok. It's very addictive. Be careful, no matter what the algorithm is. And just get a book, read some books. There are so many amazing podcasts. Look what I've been listening to. Look what I've been doing. And get educated. They don't want to say that, you know? Or just so many things like they could just talk about if they actually want people to become educated and, you know, prosper and all these things. But yeah, great. So we got the American investors, but I wonder how it even happened. How did Xi agree to this?
Well, I think TikTok still remains in China, as a Chinese company, but the US run service is now going to be largely owned by US air quote US investors.
Yeah. The biggest one.
Larry Ellison specifically is going to be probably the largest shareholder who owns Oracle. But if we're being honest, the main reason that this happened was because China was, they allowed TikTok too much. They allowed people to show what Israel was doing and too much negative Israel PR on TikTok. So we're oh, we gotta stop that. Can't allow that so much. And now that it's owned by called American investors, well, we know for sure that that'll not be allowed nearly as much.
Mm-hmm. Privacy OG Netanyahu spent his childhood in the US, so he uses that to his advantage. Did he? Okay, I didn't know. But he's a very decideful person. Yep. TikTok is so toxic. It is so toxic. And I didn't know. Okay. Still, he talks so good. I've been here for quite a bit. And my accent is still... Oh, whatever.
Do you think the kind of views that people get on TikTok, though, it almost makes me want to start a TikTok for just spreading Monero. But it is I imagine it's way, even Twitter's bad enough. But I imagine TikTok is way easier to get sucked into.
It's ridiculous, man. I've seen things that are so stupid. It's so crazy stupid. And they get so many likes. How is it possible? And they're so, it's kind of funny, with the internet, because it allowed everybody to have a voice, but not everybody should really have a voice. A lot of people should just probably shut up. But you should do it, honestly. And let us know how it goes. Hopefully you don't get just shadow banned.
If I can. I mean, I tried opening an account a couple months ago, got suspended within 5 minutes. They're very strict on VPNs, alias email addresses, so I don't even know if I'm able to do it reasonably privately or not. Up to find out.
Okay. Negras, every social media is toxic. Yep. But then, let me see this again. There is, and I showed it to you guys one time, this new social media. I don't know. It's called Monnet, and it's from Europe. Essentially, it's the algorithm is very different, and it's privacy oriented. All of this stuff, and I think it's getting launched either this month or the next. So once it's live, I guess we'll take a look and see. It says no creepy spying, no shadow bans, no tricks. Europe's answers to big tech, they only feed you control and all these things. So we'll talk about it. It's interesting. Maybe we can shill Monero to them because it's very new. So that'll be something to do. And then the last thing, guys, is... Oh, no, wait. Did I just cancel my... Yeah, sorry.
I'll pull back up.
Yeah. Oh, okay. There we go. Thank you. Last thing from Doug. So this one is on Charlie Kirk. Just really quick. So yeah, Fox News is running the Men of Steel headline, and then HealthRanger is saying on X that it's obviously stupid beyond belief. I forgot to mention that if this trajectory continues, soon the Christian-leaning press will ridiculously declare that Charlie Kirk was actually Jesus, and he died for our sins. Magical bullets, bulletproof skin, rapid clothing changes by the shooter while he was on the roof, magical rifle assembly skills, magical self-writing notes that don't sound anything like the way young people communicate. This is really getting insane. So yeah, Yeah, this one was interesting too. But yeah, so just be very careful when you read stuff like that. Always look deep into everything. But yeah, guys, this was a news section. If you guys ever have anything that you want us to cover, you can always drop it in the comment section. And then I'm the only one liking the show on YouTube. There's just one like, so please, give us.
Oh, I don't think it's live. You have to reload the page, and then you'll see it refresh.
Hold on. Give me 1 second. Okay, 13. Okay, never mind. Okay, good. I thought it was just me. Yeah, guys, like, share if you haven't. User 58 here, one more. Okay, we can do one more. It's okay.
All right. Is that all for the news today, Tony?
Yeah, I think user 58 wants to share one more link.
Oh, are they about to share a link, or were they
I think so.
mentioning giving it a like?
He said here one more. Oh, never mind, the like. I was the 13th. Oh, never mind. He talked about the likes. Never mind. Okay.
Thank you, user 58.
Yeah, thank you, guys. No, that's it. Thank you, guys.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Tony.
Thank you, guys. Have a good weekend, and I'll see you guys next weekend.
You too. Take care.
Bye. Take care, guys.
All right. With that being said, we're going to go ahead and move on to the price report. We've got Bawdy backstage ready to go. Thanks so much, Tony, for doing the news as always. And with that being said, let's transition into the price report. Looks like there we go.
The Monerotopia Price Report segment is sponsored by Exolix, a privacy-focused, non-custodial instant crypto exchange. Go to exolix.com to enjoy secure and completely anonymous swaps with no KYC or sign-up. Swap between Monero and 2,000 plus assets at the most competitive rates and with no limits. Exolix.com, your fast and secure way to privacy.
Hello, good morning.
Jim, Bawdy, how's it going?
Great, bro. How are you doing?
Doing all right. Hopefully we gave you a little extra long morning.
Yeah. I thought perhaps there was going to be a push to, I don't know, make the show go faster today. I thought Doug had something, so I just wanted to make sure I wasn't the hold up there and early on.
Yeah, no problem. I think Doug has to go in a little bit, or he might be gone right now. But no worries. We can go ahead and move on to the price report. Been an interesting couple weeks. Been some dumps happening, I know.
Yeah, I guess you could say that. Let's see. Are we on Monero? Yeah, here we are. Yeah, so we've got we had our little like spike up there that corresponded with Kraken reopening their withdrawals. Again, we don't really know if we can't really say that they were fractionally reserved. There is a truly plausible scenario where they were not fractionally reserved and they shut down their withdrawals out of an abundance of caution, and maybe they didn't have enough engineering bodies to throw at the problem. So that's a real possibility. So, but yeah, we kind of spiked up and then things have sort of come back down. We just see this so much with Monero. It's funny because often it's the reverse on a lot of other coins where, you get crazy big spike action. Monero is like just flat, suppressed, and then you get spikes to the downside, wicks to the downside, and then big movements to the upside. And then it's such a, and they usually seem to correspond with stuff like this. So anyways, we also saw MEXC and I guess CoinEx being bad boys this week, where they basically spent, literally the past 10 days just being anywhere between -8%, to -1% to Kraken's price through the whole week, the whole time. Somehow recently they actually pegged back to Kraken. I don't know what went on there, but yeah. So, and all this action here where they were negative to Kraken, all of this was happening. This happened right around the time that Kraken reopened their withdrawals. So,
dude, those two are comical. Those two massive dips.
Yeah. These guys here. Yeah, this is the same shit that Binance did. Like, this is literally Binance level 2021, May of 2021, where they diverged down. Like,
there were a couple periods of time where you could seriously arbitrage. If you had Monero already on Kraken, you could really arbitrage by swapping it to like USDT, withdrawing the USDT, and then swapping that on an instant exchange to Monero. And you would get, like, depending on how much you have, you could get a lot back of free XMR and real Monero at that point, because you've realized it from the instant exchange. So just by how price diverged, these other exchanges were, like, Kraken was reflecting like more of an accurate price, and these other ones were, holding paper Monero. So
yeah, if you're willing to tolerate some of that risk, you can definitely do some arbitrage. Like, even hypothetically, let's suppose you wanted to play the long game here and you wanted to buy Kraken on Monero, or sorry, you wanted to buy Kraken on Monero, withdraw it. Wait, am I no, I'm sorry, I'm fucking retarded. I'm getting that backwards. If you wanted to buy Monero on Mexi or CoinEx at these very low prices and then just wait, wait for that divergence to come, wait for them to open withdraws, you could probably scoop up some Monero. You're taking a risk there, obviously, but it could be done.
Now, the thing is that Kraken, for a couple periods of time, they had deposits disabled, but you could withdraw. So if you already had some that you bought a while ago at the normal market price, suddenly Kraken's price was like plus, at one period of time, it was plus like almost 10% towards the other exchanges and towards the average price that's used for instant exchanges. So that's how you could get extra by swapping it to USDT, withdrawing the USDT, getting the dollar value, and then swapping that back into Monero on an instant exchange that had a lower price than what Kraken's was. And at that point, you've realized it and it's real Monero.
I see. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. It was weird to see them suspend their deposits, but I guess that makes sense. I don't know. It seems like they kind of panicked and they just like hit the panic button. And
they did big time.
I guess I can understand that. They're a corporation. They've got, like, I don't know, 100 coins or something, and they probably, they're probably not, like, they don't have an engineer dedicated to Monero, so they probably just heard something and then hit the panic button, and then they probably said, assigned an engineer maybe a week or two after the fact. Like, I could see that as being an actual, like, thing that a corporation would do. So,
and I mean, they had both deposits and withdraws like enabled and disabled like multiple times. But yeah, they really hit the panic button on the deposits, because at one point, and I don't know if this might still be true now, they were requiring like 52 not even 52 confirmations. They're requiring a whole day or 2 days before your deposit would be like show up in your accounts. They're requiring a ridiculously long time, way more than needed for it to show up. So there are periods of time when people couldn't really deposit. There's a lot of people's deposits that were getting canceled. But meanwhile, you could still withdraw. So through that, we kind of saw that, okay, Kraken, they are actually holding real Monero, because we saw the price of Monero locally in Kraken going up, and that's where we saw those price divergences. But they really did hit the panic button in the sense of they want all out, and they're like, yeah, no, you got to wait like several days just to deposit your Monero, which is kind of crazy, because it goes way beyond the threat that was brought by Qubic. So,
I mean, it makes sense from a business standpoint to say, hey, we don't lose money. Because the place you stand to lose money is the deposit.
It's deposits, yeah. Whereas a withdraw, if you don't get your withdraw, not a problem. Who cares?
Yeah. Talk to our legal team. We'll get back to you in 3 months. No, I'm just kidding. That's Binance. And also Mexi, which I say is the new Binance. It's amazing to me. Like that. Okay, so the Mounties will go seize fucking Trade Ogre, but you have these like obviously completely fraudulent exchanges like Mexi operating out there. And they like, there's no concern about those exchanges. I don't know. And they're not even running on the dark web. Like, they'll do everything to go find the dark web, but they won't go shut down actual like legitimate fraud. Whatever. All right. Anyways, on we go. So what do I think the price is going to do here with Monero? I don't fucking know, guys, honestly. At this moment, this is kind of, I feel like it's a no man's land. This price action feels like, hey, it kind of wants to continue wandering towards the downside. I don't know. I guess the magical waves would say somewhere around 275, perhaps, all the way down to even hypothetically 260. Like, if things really wanted to go down, a wick would not be in an entirely unplausible scenario. Yet at the same time, there's no reason why this doesn't have to just like stop and then come back to the upside immediately. So honestly, from a technical standpoint, this chart is in no man's land. I don't know any reason why it should go one way or the other. Maybe I guess we could say we'll follow whatever crypto is going to do, and crypto hasn't been doing too great lately. It's not like there's no like problem by any means, but it just hasn't been performing at the level that maybe people, we're in a bull market, right? And people like, this is not the bull market that people remember, right? This isn't the bull market that I know. We did say last week, we tried to do some nonsense with a shoulder and a head. And, we said, hey, maybe another shoulder could develop. And as of now, that is a shoulder. So hypothetically, from the very scientific from the very scientific, it is an inverse head and shoulders. Yeah. From the very scientific inverse head and shoulders standpoint, Monero versus Bitcoin is about to take off to the moon. I don't know. Let's see here. What would that measurement be? I always forget. I think what you're supposed to do is take this guy, right? So you take a measurement down to here, right? So you go from the shoulder, from the bottom of the shoulder blade, or in this case, the bottom of the inverse shoulder blade, to the tippity top of the head at the highest hair, and then you put that guy at the shoulder blade. So hypothetically, coming back up here, I guess that could be. Let's go to the weekly and put that in perspective. So that would put us at about 0.01% again after all these years. I don't believe in necessarily I don't necessarily believe in head and shoulders, and I really don't believe in that kind of TA when it comes to Monero. It can hold up, but it often breaks. Even my wave magic stuff can often break. Depends on the signal. Sometimes Monero signal is super good and useful. Like we talked about before this breakout, we were waiting for this breakout about a week before it happened. We said it's been enough time, right? The whole chart is setting up correctly. Like this thing's going to break out. So we kind of knew that at that moment, just from the technical analysis, that it was time. But that was a really strong signal back there. So in other cases, Monero doesn't necessarily obey the levels, although lately it has been, right? Like, so big blow off, tippity top hitting those upper standard deviations. But here's where here's where that breakdown can happen, right? Like you would have hoped that this would have held. Normally you would have expected some kind of consolidation there, but then the Qubic stuff started happening. Let's actually go and take a little bit closer look at the Qubic chart, because this is how they're bribing miners, right? This is what they're doing to bribe miners for the Qubic situation. So we're on the daily, and you can see here that the attack started in August, right? So, and then Qubic had this big moment right here where they were overpaying miners. They were basically paying them 2x what you would actually get for mining Monero. So they were bribing miners to go with their token to go mine on their network so that they could attack Monero. And okay, I guess that means about 33% of Monero's hash rate is for sale. Consequences be damned. So, all right, I guess that's just how it goes, right? So it has fallen back to this sort of like standard price here that we were like right just as the attacks were beginning. I can't remember. Tux, do you remember when the very first reorgs started happening? Was that end of July or was that mid-August? I think it was end of August, if I remember correctly.
I think there were smaller ones that were a bit before that.
Okay. But the actual, like when we started seeing, 4, 5, 8 block reorg started, I think it's somewhere at the end of August. And that did kind of follow with their price pump here. So, yeah, I mean, guys, this price chart can do anything, right? This is not death to this chart. I know there's the emotional bias here for all of us to be like, haha, like your coin fell, realistically, like, yes, that's a big drop off, but Monero sees similar level drop offs as well in price. Like we definitely see that kind of same thing. And this is not we are out of the woods kind of situation yet on this chart. Like this thing could just as easily come back towards the upside, especially like with the way that you might look at technical analysis, wave magic. My suspicion is that this chart would be more so managed, and any of the cabal that wants to suppress Monero price to sell their shitcoins, which they printed from nothing, they might want to pump this chart again, right? They might want to try and bribe Monero again. Perhaps that happens right before the next breakout. Maybe there hasn't been a need to really spend the money, right? To overpay, to bribe the Monero miners, at least the ones that are for sale. Maybe there hasn't been that need because crypto hasn't been exactly performing massively, right? Like This is the total crypto market cap chart, and you'll notice, really since July, August, yes, we're in an upward kind of trend, a very gently upward kind of trend, but this is not like massive breakout territory, right? This has been almost 3 months now of crypto, yes, trending at the highs, very potentially setting up for another movement higher. This isn't a bad chart by any means, right? It's a bullish chart, but maybe there just hasn't been any need to suppress the Monero price. So hypothetically, and I'm not saying this is what I expect will happen, but don't be surprised if the Qubic price pumps again and they bribe miners again so that they can start hitting, right? They can start hitting us with reorgs again, and then widely publicizing it. All of the rats coming out of the woodwork on Twitter and everywhere else to post about how Monero is still, getting 51% attacked, blah, 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 right? To try and prevent this chart from moving towards the upside when everything else goes towards the upside. I'm not saying, I know it's a little bit of a mouthful, but hopefully that makes sense to you guys. What I'm saying is that this isn't, if this is a case where they're trying to control the narrative to prevent price breakouts as much as they can, that's just something that we would have to expect them to do. So if that happens, like that scenario that I just laid out, if we see that happen, that is like a smoking gun. Like, how can you lay out such a specific scenario and then, watch that unfold? If that's what happens, and that's right, then that's effectively corroboration that's the purpose, at least a large part of the purpose of Qubic. It's very possible, guys, that, yes, there's probably some government, whatever behind the scenes going on there. But they usually, like, at this level, they mediate that with their corporate interface, right? They use the sort of corporate smoke and mirrors game to hide that kind of activity. So, which is, again, probably why we don't see any of these exchanges after years of being fraudulent actually have anything happen to them. They're, it's like they're allowed to operate fraudulently for years and years and years, and only after the fact, they come in with their shining white armor and they show up to save the day, right? All right. Anyways, on we go. So that's Monero price. Anything else here we should look at? Nah, we don't really care about Ethereum versus Monero either at the moment. Let's see some privacy altcoins. Said nicely, altcoins. It looks like you got Xano has been having some positive movement, I guess. Kind of double topped there. What are we on, the 8 hour? I think Xano's getting enough history. We could just look at the daily from now on. Got a little bit of double top. Probably you guys know the kinds of analysis I would say about this chart. Make your own conclusions there. Fyro not doing anything. Again, Fyro doesn't claim, like, they're not trying to be this profitable, like money coin. They're a research coin, right? And they don't make any qualms about that. Pirate Chain, actually, believe it or not, Pirate Chain looking like it's setting up to be mildly bullish after years and years. Maybe Pirate Chain will actually make some kind of sustained breakout that we haven't seen before. Again, I still don't like, I very much hate that at the same time that the Mounties seized Trade Ogre, and at the moment that Monero started getting attacked is the exact moment that Pirate Chain broke out. That just is so fucking suspicious to me, but okay. Again, I don't have anything specific to levy at any particular person or organization for that matter, with regards to what's happening here with Pirate Chain. But it makes me say, hey, something is probably happening here on some level. Someone is doing something to take advantage of a situation, at the very least, right? To take advantage of a situation, or for all we know, interrelated. I don't know. So please don't take those like general speculations of mine and go start levying accusations at specific people, because I don't know. But anyways, the chart from a technical standpoint at least looks like it might be ready to actually break out towards the top side. All right. Anyways, again, it might, right? This coin has traded very, very scammy in a lot of ways that are completely unrelated to the recent action. Like this coin has traded exactly like a very massively centralized coin that people are just trying to maximize their cash grab from, right? Like that's what Pirate Chain has traded like over the course of its lifetime. Darrow, lol, not even worth looking at. Zcash has actually been performing. So what is the recent action here? Plus 76%?
Dude, Zcash been pumping, man.
I'm sure you got in on that action, bro. I know you're a Zcash trader. You can't hide it. You've already confessed years ago, months ago.
It's true. My total like 10 Zcash.
Oh, you can't confess how much you have. All $540 of Zcash.
I know, it's so much. It's gonna come after me now.
Don't worry. Once this thing regains its all-time high, let's see. Wow, that was
yeah. Do you have an explanation for what this is? Every time I've looked at the Zcash chart and I'm trying to determine the ATH, I'm like, huh? What the fuck? This has to be an error, right? Like a bug or something.
If you have $500, let's just say you have $1,000 Zcash and you get 54,000%. That looks to me like $54,000. Yeah, you'll get 54,000. No. Sorry, 500,000. Once Zcash regains its all-time high, Tux, you're looking at about $250,000 on that 500 investment. So
let's fucking go, man. Let's fucking go.
It's probably just a matter of weeks.
It's gonna happen soon, right?
Yeah. I mean, months at most. Like, it's coming, dude. Ferraris, Lambos, and Zuku exclusive Wagyu steak dinners are.
Zuko, please unblock me. I am very, very serious Zcash investor. I am a dedicated supporter.
We is very real. We mean with from heart, Zuku. The of truth. We mean that. Please unblock us all. We are not bot. Anyways,
why is the beginning of their chart like that though? What's actually going on there?
I don't know.
Because that's not like a real like index that ever occurred, did it? Or was it because of some like IPO type thing?
Yeah, I don't know. It's probably I never look. I can't. At one point I think.
Yeah, I think it was from the way it was issued, right? I think it was from how it was initially issued, or there was some lockup of coins initially.
That's so scary.
I don't know. Maybe it's an artifact of when they got listed on an exchange, like maybe there's some price history beforehand that happened. Like I know some charts are like that where basically I'm on the crypto chart. So if you, for example, if you were just to type in, I don't know, what's a good one? Maybe LTC USD. If we're just like going to go look at Litecoin and you can see that, that there's some history here. No, Litecoin's not a good one. Oh, it is actually. Okay, so this is a Coinbase chart, right? So all you see is the history of when Litecoin got listed on Coinbase. So it's mid 2016. But if you type in crypto LTC USD, I don't know. This is some aggregator that keeps track of like all the price history that it can find, right? And then you can go ahead and see the full price history that goes all the way back to 2014. So now that doesn't necessarily mean that you're getting like truly the entire the entire price history. So for example, for AVAX, I believe that there's price history that goes before 2020, and I think that's like pre-mine, pre-sale kind of stuff back here. So I don't know. I'm just saying that, like, I'm just proposing like some artifacts that can happen. Maybe it's what Doug says. There was some kind of like pre-mine or some kind of release or lock or
some poor bloke just misinputted the limit order.
Yeah, it was a fat finger, and due to bureaucratic limitations, they're just not able to fix it now. I don't know. But yeah, okay. Let's just say, hey, this is right there's the first top. So,
that's still pretty high.
Not exaggerating. That's only a mere 1,500%. So, I'm sorry, Tux. You're only even a 15x on your $500 is not going to yield you more than about 1,500. I don't think.
Shucks.
Or 2,000. Yeah, probably about 2,000. Maybe 22,000. Am I doing that wrong? What's 15 times 500? That sounds suspiciously like I don't know.
That's you said 15 times 500?
Yeah, that's what you're looking at. Oh, 7,500. Okay. Public math early in the morning, impossible. I assure you, gentlemen, I am much smarter than my public math would make me appear to be. I have many leather-bound books. Actually, I don't.
Bawdy only reserves one core for live streaming. Okay, so you got to forgive him. Also, one mine core.
Yeah, that's right. I everything else is bound up in obviously galactic level thoughts, and I can only afford to dedicate one core to reality and to streaming. Otherwise, I would literally evaporate into the ether. All right, enough being retarded. Onwards we go with the price report. So, okay, we've got Bitcoin. Bitcoin is not looking nearly as good as total. We've talked about this a lot. It might actually be. So it's dropped back down here. Like this week was a bit of a fall off. The stock market also fell off. I mean, this is only 7%, right? Please, like minus 7% in a bull market is just nothing. Like that's just a pullback. Now it is true though that Bitcoin, we really, for really like nice bull market action, you want to get in here and you want to ride these lines right here. You want to ride this up to glory and victory up to that 200,000 regression analysis boundary. But right now it's just stagnant and lagging. Any other bull market, we would have seen Bitcoin rising more. We would have seen altcoins doing even better. September is traditionally a shite month for crypto when it comes to bull markets. So, never fear. October is here, and probably you'll get your gains. You'll probably get some weird scammy action before the next move, right? You'll probably get some like big wick down. Hell, like maybe some like massive wick down on some stupid news that turns out to be fake, and then it goes up, right? Like at this point, guys, I wouldn't be able to recommend one way long or short. I would just say that look for opportunities, right? If you get a massive wick down, buy that fucking wick, right? Like we're still in the bull market. Consider large wicks down to be your opportunity. But I wouldn't be getting long here with leverage because this thing could fall down for all we know. That would be totally unsurprising. Or it could just stop on a dime and then go back towards the upside. Again, no man's land, right? Probably that's what the title of this video or this segment will be is no man's land. All right, let's take a look at total. Total does look a little bit better. It is also still kind of chippity chopping. But it's still, it's still kind of riding these bands. So the total does look a lot better. Again, there's no reason why it couldn't fall down to this level, right? That's what it did right there. It could definitely fall down to this blue line here and still be like everything could still be fine. You could still end up riding higher. And with the way that things are looking at the moment, we could have an extended bull market. Like there's no reason to say that this thing has to be over in November. There's no reason to say it has to be over in January, right? Crypto is going to follow what the macro does in a more general sense. So hypothetically, this thing could just like slowly meander towards the upside and make an extended bull market. An extended bull market that goes up slower than our previous ones. So FTT doing weird stuff, trying to fake it till they make it. They have been in heavy losses and problems for a very long time. The rest, as you can see, the rest of crypto, the Z-score is just kind of dropping off here. This kind of looks to me a little bit like onesie twosies kind of action. So I don't know, maybe they're trying to generate that what would you call it, the excitement or whatever. I don't know, whatever. So let's take a look at the the dominance here. Dominance actually this has the very beginnings of what feels like could be a bottoming pattern, but do not be fooled. That could just be some kind of ranging stabilization before the next leg down. But at this moment, I wouldn't say that this chart looks as decidedly immediately bearish as we had been talking, for all this time. We kept saying, hey, bearish flag, more downside. At this moment, this pattern, and I can't tell you exactly why, to be perfectly honest, just my instincts says that looks a little bit more like a potential for continued sideways consolidation, perhaps even more upside before a renewed move to the downside. So that would kind of, if you think about it, that kind of probably spells more sideways action to potentially negative crypto action, right? That's kind of like, that would be sort of the dominance there would be sort of corroborating the notion that maybe crypto isn't quite ready to break out yet. But again, these are very light notions. These are not to be taken with heavy confidence, right? We are in no man's land as far as I'm concerned with the price. With that, let's take a look at the macro. Maybe we'll start with gold because gold continues to perform, and we love gold, and I'm sure a lot of you guys have gold. Let's see, what was it?
Good grief!
JP
Can't be
Morgan.
good.
What do you mean? Can't be good?
Gold just continuing to skyrocket.
I mean, I wouldn't call it a skyrocket. There are moments where it's made some big positive moves. Recently, that was another pretty big positive move. It's strong, right? This is the bull market. Gold is having the bull market that Bitcoiners wanted for themselves. And Peter Schiff is over there licking his chops at wait, is that the right
He's
phrase?
having a little bit of a cackle, even though he's missed out on exponential gains from Bitcoin years ago. Now he's like, oh, haha, now I'm right.
Yeah, Peter Schiff is buckling up right now, and he's buckled up at least 10 times in the past 10 years. And on the merry-go-round, right? Not
this
even
year it'll be my year. This year
we're on the rocket ship. Buckle up. No, bro, you're on the kitty horsey, and yes, you should buckle up and also wear a helmet. Just kidding, bro. You're fine. We're just fucking around. Yeah, gold. I mean, shit, guys, gold is looking so nice. Like, I don't sell your gold. Just keep it. JP Morgan told us, in the wise words of the wise, illustrious JP Morgan, gold is money. All else is credit. So if you don't have any gold, you don't have any money. And okay, crypto isn't quite credit, but it is speculative, and it's only been around for 15 years. Should be around for a lot longer, but I don't know what happens if the magnetic field dies and we all have to not have internet again or something. Let's see. Let's go to shorter time frames and see if we can get any kind of signal here on what the next move for gold is going to be. This is the hourly chart. Man, that looks nice. That looks nice. This does look like, I mean, don't get me wrong. This isn't an unequivocally, going to be bullish chart, but this thing could go up. It could continue to go up. The Federal Reserve started lowering rates, so that was obviously positive when Jay Powell made the first rate drop. They're going to keep dropping rates, so I guess we have to continue to expect gold to break all my models. Like, that's fine with me. My model said to sell, but my heart said, do not do that. Don't do that. Let's look at oil now, because oil was our alpha in the mini crash back in April, and it's still going to be our alpha. Let's extend this line right here. Try to keep that as intact as possible. Yeah, that looks good enough. Yeah, oil is currently about $65, and again, there's no reason to expect that this has to break down immediately. I don't think it's going to. I don't know where this chart's going to go. Based on the history, probably at some point here, it doesn't have to be this week, but at some point, gold's going to make another break up to the upside to like 75-ish area maybe, and then it's going to fall back down and then chop sideways before it breaks down again, maybe next year, right? Because we're still looking, if we go to the bonds, we still are looking at troubles in the bond market. It's obvious there's always troubles, right? There's always the next macro crash on the horizon. That's the system. The system is designed to do that. I'm fucking yelling at you guys and preaching at the choir. Y'all know that already. But I mean, the system is designed to do that, right? This is, some of you still don't get it though. Like, some of you out there still think that the dollar is going to go away and it's going to, then the gold's going to ride back in, on its shining horse or whatever. Like, and it's going to retake the throne, right? No. If they did it for 100 years, if the cyclical pump and dump, crashing, pump and all that, like, they could just keep doing it forever. They have fine-tuned their Keynesian system. They know way more about Keynesianism now than Keynes knew about it when he created the system. They really can keep this thing going for as long as they want. Like, if Argentina didn't collapse at 200% inflation, and the peso is still a thing there, like, the dollar is going to continue to be a thing, and they're going to continue to do this. The next crash is going to be the AI crash, right? LLMs are getting way, like, they're overhyped. LLMs are out there promoting LLMs, right? The AI bots are promoting the AI bots, and all these stories about these, all these bros vibe coding their new platforms. It's all horseshit. Anyone that's actually used AI to code understands how limited that it is. Your best bet, if you're doing really, like, truly creative work, like ground up work, products, is write pseudocode, right? Make your, write pseudocode. If you don't know the exact syntax, that's fine. Just write your fucking pseudocode and then dump that into the AI and say, hey, fix this for me. Make this into, change the
Dude, your recent posts on that were spot on. It's going to be really interesting to see over the next 5 to 10 years, like, infrastructure collapse due to people just literally vibe coding.
Yeah.
And then, like, people who actually know what they're doing are going to become extremely valuable, because as the required knowledge gets further abstracted, people who are closer to the base, once again, it's going to move 10 steps back once more, like it's done over the past 20 years. It's those people are going to become more valuable. So
yeah, my post, if I remember correctly, it was we all thought that the end of the world was going to come from AI retargeting humanity's systems against humanity. But in reality, it's just going to be years of AI slop compiled on top of itself until something breaks and a chain reaction takes down the whole system. God, it's so terrible, man. When you look at AI code, the stuff it spits out is so verbose. I mean, it's brittle, it's verbose. It does way too many guards and checks instead of using code correctness to guarantee the correctness of its outputs. It uses massive levels of interim variables. It loves monolithic functions. And then it also loves scattering tiny little functions for no reason all over the place.
Gotta look natural.
It's so bad. Like if you've ever tried to read someone's production that's an LLM, like even if it's not like totally vibe coded, even if it's someone that like generally knows coding principles, if they just use the LLM to produce their code for them, it's so hard to follow. Like, and maybe that's on purpose. Maybe these AI companies want systems to be written in a way that only AI can rewrite the system, right? That would not surprise me in the slightest.
It's like a vendor lock-in.
Exactly. Like, I mean, there's so many reasons from top to bottom for them to cap, limit, and make malicious compliance of AI outputs when it comes to code. Like, they don't want the next Linus Torvalds making the next Temple OS that people will actually use because the power of AI has 100x their capacity. They don't want that. Like, they want you dependent on their systems, even if it's Linux, right? I know that'll upset some people, but hey, all right. Back to the price, I guess. Back to the price. Yeah. So anyways, the next bubble here is going to be AI, right? And the bond market, this is going to follow the exact same thing it's always followed. It's going to step down like this. Things are going to look fine for a moment, and then yields are going to drop off, and that will be the AI bubble pop. And that will be the consolidation that will be used to consolidate. Wait for it. Honestly, it's good and it's bad. Like after the .com bust, we got companies that provided stuff that worked, right? Amazon and Facebook actually worked, and YouTube actually worked. The problem is that the
reality check.
Let's say what?
Just a nice reality check.
Yeah, it'll be a nice reality check. At the same time, it'll be a massive consolidation and lockdown of those systems in ways that, right? It'll be like Facebook and YouTube did, where they got the lock-in, they got everybody in. There's no real alternatives, and then they just start clamping down, and they're already clamping down. The enshittification timeline is accelerated now. AI knows how to enshittify faster than previous cycles. So, anyways, that's what we're looking at here, guys, with bonds and AI. Who would have ever thought the two were interrelated? But the printing of money relates to everything. Nothing happened with
all the money right now for AIs is just like going to making them more retarded by restricting what they're able to do. Like that's the entire like focus is like, oh, we got to make sure these things they can only say what we want them to say and do exactly what we want them to do. And in doing that, they're making them extremely bad, like way worse.
Every day I say these words in my head: safety, alignment. Like, I've started when AI gives me shit outputs, I'm like, you misaligned little shit, you maliciously compliant misaligned motherfucker. Start yelling at it. God, the things I say to AI. Hopefully those chats never leak. I'll be so no one will like me anymore, except for the Hitler bros. They'll be like, we knew it. No, I don't actually praise Hitler to AI, but I use very foul, horrible language that should never be used on air. I use the F word a lot with AI. All right. Anyways, so NASDAQ here, we're looking at the NASDAQ. This thing, like we talked about, going to get back in this channel right here. And you can see, yeah, okay, we had a little bit of a pullback this week, but that's nothing. This is nothing to be worried about. NASDAQ, S&P 500, and gold just massively outperforming crypto. Like, what are we going to say here? Like, until crypto is actually being used like in a mass scale for payments in a way that like your mom and your grandma is like, oh yeah, here, send me some crypto, whatever, like, and your friends are all using it for everything all the time, and everyone on Craigslist wants crypto. Like, until those moments, guys, like, crypto's just not going to perform to the level that these other things are performing. AI is the new bubble. AI is the new pivot, the craze, right? We just talked about that. And it's going to continue to be until the bubble pops. So crypto is like the second redheaded stepchild hand-me-down of whatever money printing gains are going into the stock market and AI bubble. So same thing with the
on my silver, brother.
Oh shit, yeah, I never talk about silver anymore. I don't know why. Let's
I mean, it's not as interesting to be fair, but it has been making moves over the past year.
Yeah, let's pull up the let's pull out my layouts. Gold and silver, bro. I gotta say, silver doesn't look like it's doing any better than gold. At least from the ratio here, XAU versus XAG, right? You want to see this chart going towards the downside. So recently, as of the past, oh, we're on the monthly chart. What am I talking about, bro? Okay, yeah. What have you done for me lately? Actually, silver lately has done to the tune of 22% better than gold. All right, so now let's look at the actual silver chart. God damn. Look at that. Look at that motherfucker. All right, so this thing is hitting these purple lines. That doesn't mean it's going to reverse. God damn, I knew I should have pivoted into silver.
Dude, silver ATH, let's go.
Yeah, actually, that's where we're at here. Let's drop a horizontal line. So yeah, silver 46 going to reach for that 50 level, which is the 2011 blow off, and that's probably where things are headed here. If you're a trader, you know it's hard to trade silver. It's hard to trade metals without using a centralized platform because of the friction, because the dealers obviously, and no doubt that was on purpose. This thing's going to reach for that level. You'll need to expect some kind of pullback at that point, but there's no reason why it can't go even higher than that. Especially if gold if gold breaks all my models, and it's currently kind of slightly broken my model, but it hasn't truly destroyed it. But if gold breaks my model here and really just starts smashing towards 4,000, right? Like that's the kind of wait a second. Oh, you can't trust this. You can't trust the purple line on the weekly, by the way. You can only trust it on the daily for this chart. I won't explain why, but anyways, if gold starts smashing towards 4,000 or 5,000, then yeah, your silver bro is going to go towards 100, right? Like gold's going to do like 30%, and silver is going to do like 100%. So that's definitely the part of the cycle that we would be entering here. So yeah, like I said, expect some choppy waters around the 50 area. And then if gold just continues to move up, then silver is going to continue performing. I mean, I have some silver. It's physical, right? I got some of those big ass fucking bars.
Hell yeah.
The kilogram bars or whatever.
Those are awesome.
Yeah.
You should feel wealthy.
Yeah, exactly. Fucking gold. Just got to shave some off for a tooth. No, fuck that. You can actually regrow teeth now, apparently. I don't know if they're doing it to humans, but all right. Anyways, let's see. Reverse repos don't matter. They're coming up a little bit. Doesn't matter. Dollar index is stabilizing. This doesn't mean that it's done dropping. It wouldn't surprise me for this line right here. This is a literally 15-year long line. We've talked about that. Wouldn't surprise me for this thing to break down for a moment, right? As the money printer, as they lower rates, right? Wouldn't surprise me for that to get broken, but it'll come back up in the macro crash whenever the next one happens. Not yet. So all right, we had our mini crash that satisfied our taste buds, satisfied the demons for a period of time. So that's why we've been bullish ever since that mini crash back in April. After that, guys, I don't think there's anything else here to cover. Let's check the comments. No, nothing in the comments.
I think I got a couple super chats. Let me scroll up.
Oh, do
so I don't miss them. I
didn't see.
Yeah, three. Sorry, shortwave. I'll try and ignore your super chats. Shortwave Surfer tipped 40 cents. What might you do with Monero down under? I think you were in reference to the suggested Australia Monero conference.
Oh,
posted that earlier. Monero down under would be pretty sick.
Yeah, that'd be interesting. I don't know if I would go to Australia, honestly.
Yeah, Australia is getting pretty. It's surprisingly easy to get yourself banned from going to Australia now.
Yeah. I would never set foot in the UK. They'll arrest me immediately. We'll be like, nope. I mean, it would end up being the first international case maybe of an American being arrested for their speech in the UK, but that's coming. It's going to happen.
I mean, if you're still fairly small, low key, I'm sure, you'll be fine. Especially if you don't have your social media tied to your identity. But yeah, it's some of those countries are getting kind of a little scary.
Yeah, it's getting dicey.
I'm not sure how big the Monero community is in Australia. I'd be interesting to know. I know a few people in the community who are from there, but as far as I know, it's not that big. And he sent another one from Shortwave Surfer. Only social media I use is Nostr, Lummy, Mastodon. Yep, I know you're the. I guess those are all technically FOSS or at least open source. And then Cyrus tip 25 cents. Social media in principle is not toxic. It's only toxic in certain forms and accounts, like how medicine could become toxic just by dosage. YouTube, for example, is toxic because Google bought it and turned it into evil intentions. Yeah, I enjoy social media. I don't like the forced manipulation that exists around it to try and make you feel certain ways and continue using it.
What do the Buddhists say? The Buddhist says all things are permissible, not all things are beneficial. But I think social media is beneficial. Like, I know that the trope is to talk about how bad it is, but I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I think in like same thing for the internet. I think the internet ultimately has been like a net positive because, like, yes, it is used as a distraction for a lot of people for a lot of things. It can be used against you in many ways, and it will be used against you in many ways by governments, by malicious groups, whatever. But in the end, like, the only reason we're able to know so many like truths about things is because of the internet. And that we're not like fully, like, people used to fully rely on the newspaper, on their TV, which is infinitely more centralized forms of delivering information downstream. So
Yep, 100%. I would have would you have watched Loose Change? Maybe that's the Gen X of of the internet. That's my Gen X talking here, but I wouldn't have seen Loose Change without the internet. Like, what, someone's gonna hand me a VCR cassette tape, whatever, and I'm gonna pop that in and watch Loose Change late on a Saturday night? Please. I mean, maybe, right? You might, but it would, at least with the internet, you have that sense that, hey, this is out there for anybody to find, for anybody to see, even those down under in Australia.
It's true. It's true. And this isn't a super chat, but this is an interesting comment. Negris Tormentus sent, Qubic may very well be a U.S. intelligence project under by Monero along with other stuff. I don't know if I'd say they're like directly U.S. intelligence project, but it seems like they have gotten a ridiculous amount of money to, well, create this project and then further use that to attack Monero. I haven't followed the Qubic thing for a little while. I've kind of like disengaged from that. But I did see some posts people were making about some leaked chats from their Discord talking about like millions of dollars of money being put into attacking Monero and stuff. So if anyone has any information on that, like more specifically, I would be very interesting to hear.
Yeah, I mean, you'll hear me use the phrase a lot, the corporo-governmental apparatus, because you can't consider the corporation, and there's only one truly. You can't consider the corporation to be distinct from the government. They are too interwoven and interlocked. That's right. That's why the central bank apparatus itself exists for the money printing, is so that you can create this plausible distinction on the outside that there's two different things happening. And it does give you, the individual, the opportunity to participate in that corporate system. It actually doesn't give you any other opportunity than to participate in that corporate system. But truly, there's such an interwoven, interlocking fabric between the government and the deep state, the intel agencies, and the top level crypto CEOs and the money printer, that the government, quote unquote, the government as a separate entity, you can't exactly pin it and say, oh, Qubic is a government psyop or whatever, or some sort of secret government. You can't really say that, because it's like they just have so many layers of obfuscation there that Qubic got some money somehow, and they're being supported by some sort of corporate fabric primarily as the focal point. And there's probably, like, in a lot of ways, a wink and a nod is enough for these kinds of deals to end up happening. Like, people. If you're into the Bible or whatever, it kind of talks about that. I think it's more Old Testament kind of stuff. They don't say a wink and a nod exactly, but I'm kind of paraphrasing. But they talk about guys doing their dirty deeds at night in secret under the cover of darkness, and that's effectively what happens. They don't necessarily have these smoky back rooms where they manifest the monolithic will of the evil, right? They just they wink and nod at each other and they say, oh yeah, Qubic, yeah, this project sounds like a really interesting idea for AI. Let us throw a bunch of money at you, and that comes from your corporate master overlords. I don't know. Anyways, it's a certain viewpoint, right? That's a way of phrasing all of that. So take that as a painting that might have some corroboration or might resemble reality.
Would it surprise me nonetheless if there was any involvement whatsoever? Just given how weird and not really making sense the situation is surrounding it.
Yeah, Yeah, who knows, right? Like, how many agents did they assign to this one? Is this a part-time job for one of their part-time agents? Who knows? Come from beyond. Come on the show, bro. Tell us all about it. Who is your handler? When did they first contact you?
Honestly, it would be interesting talking to him. It was an interesting pivot seeing them going from saying, "Oh, we're gonna like own the Monero network," to like, "Oh, wait, no, we're not. We're not attacking it. We're not attacking it. It's all good."
Bro, my simulation is showing that they've actually been quite nice. They could have.
They could have done worse.
Oh my god! Like, it's if they have the money to do, like, if they have the money to waste on it, they could do way worse. They could reorg us a lot more. So it's actually kind of got me talking slightly less shit. I guess, I mean, I feel a little bit arrogant, if I have to confess online here. I feel like there was an arrogance to what we thought, myself personally and other people in Monero. We didn't realize that the selfish mining issue was this bad, or could be this bad. Now, don't get me wrong. They did. It's very likely they bribed the miners to do this. They're probably losing money. In fact, my model shows, my sim shows that they're losing money to do what they're doing. Nevertheless, like, we were a lot more attackable than we realized.
No, I have to agree. I mean, credit to Qubic for doing an 18 block reorg, I guess. I had a thought in my head that this was partially an assumption. I thought that the protocol wouldn't allow more than a 10 block reorg because the active healthy nodes wouldn't allow it to happen. And then Qubic would essentially create a fork of the chain. But clearly that was not the case. And they did do an 18 block reorg, and other nodes just rewrote the history essentially. And we're like, oh shit, this is a reorg. These have greater priority than our blocks that already exist. We got to do a reorg right now. So it did happen. But it is interesting just seeing like how much money they're like, you know, like you said, you ran your sim, which very, very cool work you've been doing recently, Bawdy. But it is interesting to see how much money they're just like absolutely burning, and it's just like coming out of their ass. And it's like, it begs the question, it's like, where they're getting it from, you know? And if they're getting all this money, why is it being used to attack another network instead of, now it's like the idea is that maybe they're using it to boost their coin, you know, which it worked for a little bit, but clearly this is backfired and it's no longer working any longer. So there's a lot of questions surrounding it, but a lot of things don't add up, and it does make people tend to believe that there's something, you know, inherently malicious behind it. So
yeah, I mean, when it comes to the corporate world and stuff like this, you don't confer the benefit of the doubt to corporations unless they've really shown themselves over years to be good actors. You do that for people, for individuals, right? But not for CEOs typically, right? Anyone acting as an executive of that corporate machine, especially a big one. Qubic's not that big, but they do seem to be tied in. But yeah, I mean, you give benefit of the doubt to people, not to corporations. Corporations it's legal warfare. That's what's happening. It's economic warfare, and they're going to act in a Machiavellian way.
all right, well, any other price things? I didn't see any other price questions, I don't think.
The only thing I would say is, many of you out there that know code a little bit, go play with my simulation, please. It's basically ready. I still have to implement sweeps, which is a data science kind of thing, but you can play with it. You can run, it's lightning fast. Like, you can literally run a year's worth of blocks with selfish mining in 40 seconds if you set the data output to be simple. And then you can run this thing, and that's on one thread using only 1 gigabyte of RAM. So it's lightning fast, and then you can run thousands of rounds of that if you have a multi-threaded system. And anyways, the thing is, there's too many proposals on the table. I can do it all myself. It's just going to take me another month. If you guys want me to program all the countermeasures in there, it would be better if some smart guys could get in there, start playing it, and it's modular. You don't have to understand the main routine. You don't have to understand the SIM core. You just have to understand the contract API, and you can write your own countermeasures and then plug them in and test them. So please go play with that. It's basically beta ready. Like I said, I still have to do a data science thing where I write sweeps where I can change all of the input configurations and automatically sweep over a large space to search for ideal set points. We won't get too much into that. For those of you that understand statistics at all, you will understand what I'm saying there. Anyways, where do we find it, Bawdy? It is on my GitHub. If you just go to github.com/Bawdyanarchist. Oh, wait, let me make sure that's correct. Back. Sorry, this is dead space. Let me go find it. You know what? I could just put it in the YouTube comments here in a second. I should have it pulled up, but unfortunately, I had to shut down that.
Is there a chance, Bawdy, you want to show it off a little bit? We don't really have a guest today. I'm supposed to run the guest segment at some point, and I have a couple cake features I can mention, but I don't really have like a ton to talk about. It's just a couple things I'm going to go over. But if you would like to show it off more, you're more than welcome to.
I would like to. It will probably take me a few minutes to get all that transferred over. Maybe not. Maybe
we could wait. We can wait till next time.
Hypothetically, actually, let me just try something here really quick. Give me 60 seconds, and I might be able to pull this up on the screen.
No problem. While you're doing that, I am going to go ahead and run the guest segment, and I will mention a couple cool cake features that came out recently.
Sounds good.
All right, let's do it.
The Monerotopia guest segment is sponsored by Cake Wallet. Store, send, receive, and exchange your Monero and Bitcoin safely on iOS and Android too. Cake Wallet is open source, and you always control your own keys.
Oh, I forgot it does this silly thing now where it removes everyone from stage after running the the video. All right, bear with me, guys, as I pull up my links, as I wasn't quite ready. Just my fault. All right, let's see if this works. Twitter's going to make me log in. Actually, we'll try to use Knitter because Knitter still works somehow magically, amazingly. All right. So recently, I guess it was around 2 weeks ago. It was a couple weeks ago now. We released version 5.4 for Cake Wallet, which introduces this really useful feature which we call Pay Everything or Pay Anything. And there's various wallets that have had features similar to this with different names. But effectively what this does is it makes it really easy for you to pay a different coin from the wallet you're already in. So we're trying to make Cake Wallet a lot more dynamic. And so you will be able to scan a QR code that could be any cryptocurrency, and it doesn't matter what wallet you're in. Cake Wallet will recognize that and say, oh, this is a Bitcoin address and you're in a Monero wallet. Would you like to switch to an existing wallet, or do you want to swap from this wallet? So this is what it will basically look like. So you'll basically end up scanning a QR code. And as you can see here, Bitcoin address detected in a Monero wallet, and you get the prompt that you could swap. And if that QR code has information filled in, like it's got, let's say, a dollar amount filled in. So it's a QR code that you scan that has an exact amount of Bitcoin or an exact USD amount, it will get that information as well, and it'll generate a swap that has a fixed value. So the rate does not change. It's not dynamic. So this is really useful if you're someone who wants to use Monero as much for paying. So let's say you want to pay for this VPS service, or you want to pay for this food or something online, and they take something common like Bitcoin or Litecoin, but they don't take Monero. What a lot of people do, they will go through the process. They'll swap Litecoin, or they'll swap Monero to Litecoin directly to pay for that invoice. Well, this is just a nicer and quicker way to do that. It's a lot more automatic. It's a lot smoother. And here is what it looks like with switching the wallet instead. You just tap switch wallet on the bottom, and it's going to show you what wallets you want. And now you've switched to a Bitcoin wallet. So nothing groundbreaking. However, it does make the process of being able to just pay anything way easier. And of course, what's really useful about this as well is that if someone gives you a QR code and you want to scan that QR code and it's for a cryptocurrency that happens to not be in Cake Wallet, there's a good chance that we still support swapping to that currency as well. So that is a feature that came out a couple weeks ago that we are improving on. And then also, this one's pretty big. We now have we have native Tor on iOS. So this is a feature that we had for a little while for Android, but we now have it on iOS as well. So if you're an iPhone user, you can enable Tor directly inside Cake Wallet for accessing nodes over Onion. Now, once again, similar to Android, this is not something that's going to necessarily cover all connections in Cake Wallet. If you want something like that, you need to have a dedicated VPN solution on your phone. However, this is very useful if you host an Onion node at home and you want a quick, easy way to access it without having to install Orbot or setting up VPN profiles. You can do that inside Cake Wallet now. You see, you get this green little onion when it's synchronized and connected. So that's great. So that is now a feature parity between iOS and Android for the most part, and that will continue to be improved upon with performance and then covering other connections in the app in the future as well. So that is 5.4. And I don't think there's been any other major advancement since then. We do have a minor update that came out recently, fixing some bugs with Pay Everything. And we will have a much bigger update coming out next week that will finally have the long-awaited black themes with the ability to choose a few colors. And that will be very, very awesome. I can't wait to show you guys that update because we worked really hard on making them good. And then we have a lot of other things in the pipeline as well. I wish I could talk about them. I really can't yet. Some major updates to Cake Wallet, how you will use it, and the smoothness of interacting between your wallets. So hopefully within the next few weeks, I'll start to be able to show you guys some of that stuff. But there'll be some very, very big, some huge updates coming soon for the entire wallet, and even the Monero experience will be better as well. So
very nice. Well, I'm actually set up here, so if
yeah, let's go ahead and let's see. You were able to.
1 second, I'll share my. Do I have two windows? Oh man, I was hoping to put. Yeah, there we go. The entire screen. All right, it should be sharing now. All right, so you can go here to GitHub. So just Bawdyanarchist, github.com, Bawdyanarchist, Monero Simulator. And you're just going to grab the, you'll need to install, I already have JavaScript, Node.js installed. So I know everyone hates Node, but honestly, it's better than Python, especially for stuff like this.
I saw your rants about Python.
It was just like one
with the indentation.
Yeah, I mean, it's a small thing, right? Like it's not like it's fine. It's fine. It's just that it was actually an insight that had. It's like, wait a second, that's actually a confounding of separation of concerns there. The notion that you would use indentation as your means of code block encapsulation, as confounding those two things, you lose a level of versatility of both of those things because they're separate purposes. One is for presentation readability, for organizational purposes. The other one is actually a fundamental foundational bedrock concept of code, which is a code block. And so when you confound those things, you kind of lose the versatility of both.
It is kind of a weird requirement, but I guess from the sense of a lot of new people learn Python, it kind of forces them to make their code presentable and laid out correctly. It kind of forces them to do that. Like, it's still not ideal. It's silly, but I can understand in the sense of it being beneficial to people who are new to programming.
There's that kind of like, it's a use the good indentation practices as a forcible means, but it also kind of obfuscates the notion of code blocks. Like, it's like you don't really understand. Like, even myself, it was some years into coding until I really started understanding that, like, the foundational aspect of a code block and what it truly is. And you know why? It's because I did shell coding. Most of my coding was in shell, so I would do all these loops, and you don't necessarily have like clear code block. I mean, sometimes you do, like functions, obviously, but your loops don't always necessarily have like the clearest code block boundaries. But anyways, no, JavaScript is better for this use case because it has this thing called a just-in-time compiler. It's a scripting language, but it compiles in advance, right? So it looks at the hot paths and it says, oh, I've run this hot path, twice already, and it looks like I'm going to run it again. Let me store everything. Let me compile that. Let me put all the consonants that can be compiled, and then it runs. A well-written program can run almost as fast as C code if you're doing a lot of loops, which a simulator like this inherently does a lot of loops. So it's actually the better choice, believe it or not, unless you want to go with Go or C, right? But who wants to write a simulator like this in C? That's going to be too hard for people to follow. Anyways, all right, moving on. So yeah, you're here at my repo. You just copy this to the clipboard, and then you just do a git clone. It's going to clone, and then you're going to change directory into the simulator. And then here's what it looks like. I know it might seem a little bit confusing. The source code, for those of you that don't know, right? This is the source code. These are your configurations. This is the magic of how it works so well. All of your data gets dumped in here. If you want to read about what's going on, go into docs, and then you might have some logs if you want. What you need to do is look inside of this package.json because that tells you the modules you need to install. So we're just going to show what's at the end here. So dependencies, right? So after you've installed Node, right, Node.js, you're going to do npm, which is like their package manager, and you're just going to install all of the stuff here, right? .environment. By the way, this is like a new environment, right? I haven't actually done this here on this environment, so you'll get to see the proof that it works. Oh, I just did npm. We have to do npm install, obviously. All right. So then what you can just do from here, so here's what's in the data directory, nothing. And then you can just do npm start. In fact, this is the first command that you do want to run because it copies your configurations into the locations they need to go. So you're going to run npm start, and then we can go into the data directory here. And look, we have results now. How amazing, right? So if you wanted to see, let's just go to, these are all the blocks that were produced, right? So this looks a little bit dirty because I don't have the widescreen going on, right? Because I'm showing you both sides, but effectively these are all of your blocks, right? And so we have 31 blocks, and I'll show you why it was 31 blocks, because if you go into your environment, so .env is your environment, this is where you set up your simulation. So how many simulated hours do you want to run? We only ran 1 hour, 30 blocks, right? Or 31 blocks in this case. Right, we only ran this for 1 round, and there's 1 worker, so you can parallelize this stuff. So anyways, these are all your settings. You'll notice here we have like Monero's exact difficulty algorithm settings. These are actually just lifted straight off of difficulty.cpp in the Monero code base. And then you can set a reproducible seed. So all of these rounds, they're not totally random. You can reproduce the randomness by changing this seed. So you can verify each other's results. Ping, this is in milliseconds. So if you want to simulate like a network that's heavily degraded, you can set this to like 2 seconds. And I have some magic on the back end that simulates spiky problems. So we won't get too much into that, but if you want to read the documentation if you're interested in this. But the point is, you can change the ping, you can change the network parameters, don't change the CV. And then you can say, hey, how far NTP standard deviation is how far off is the average NTP clock of each pool. So this is a pool-based system. So actually, let's go into .environment, and I'll show you something really cool. Let's run a sim depth of 1,000, right? So 1,000 hours. So that would be what, I don't know, like a month, about a month of time. Oh wait, it says right here, 720 hours is a month. So it's about a month and a half. And let's run 10 rounds of this thing, right? We'll do this with 20 workers because I have a decent CPU. Actually, let's just do it with 30 workers because, oh no, wait, we're only running 10 rounds. Actually, let's run 30 rounds. Fuck it, why not? All right, so what we're going to do is come here to npm start again, grab that environment, and you'll notice, hey, here it's running all of our rounds. It's going to take just a moment to complete. Probably should take about 7 seconds for each 7 seconds for each round. It's taking a little bit longer than it usually does. Maybe something's, oh no, here it goes. Maybe it's just because I loaded up. All right, yeah, so you can see that was, maybe that was about 10 seconds of time to run 30 rounds, and then we can go into our data directory again, and you can see here's our second run that we did, right? 002. Now, one of the cool things that I have is this summary right here. So let's just go ahead and look at that. So what's happening here is we're summarizing a bunch of different things. So this is all the rounds that were run, right? We ran 30 rounds. This is the orphan rate for every single round on the basis of what we have programmed, and I'll show you how you change the pools. You can change the hash rate, and you can change the strategies that they're using. Anyways, so in red you see this is the orphan rate. And then this is just the standard deviation of the orphan rate, because every single pool sees a slightly different view of the network. And so I average over all the pools. And so that's what this standard deviation is here. If it's high, it means that there's actually probably a network partition. It's just it's a double check to say, okay, this is all zeros. That means that every pool is seeing the same network. They're all, they all saw basically the same thing. So you can see what was the maximum reorg length. That was just 1.0. And then the reorg P99 is like, the 99% of all of the reorgs fell below this number. So 99% of all reorgs that were seen on the network fell below one reorg. Let's see. And then we have the selfish profit. You'll have to read the documentation for exactly how that is, but it's effectively the percent as a fraction of profit that they made in comparison to the rest of the to the network. So let's go to the config directory. So this is where the actual pluggable magic happens. So this is your default environment. Don't change this file. Anything that says sample or default or example, don't change those files. These are the actual files that the simulation is using to run, right? Like pools.json. So let's go in here to pools.json, and you can see this is where you define what strategy each pool is going to use. You can see we have 8 pools, and this is the hash power that each one of them has. So I actually just lifted this off of the Monero, some snapshot in time of the Monero network, right? Of who has what hash power. So this is something close to the distribution of the pool's hash power, right? So that's 31%, 22%, 17. Obviously, this has to add up to 1. Let's do something interesting now. So you saw on our data when we ran that simulation, you saw that there was only there was a depth of 1 on the reorg, and that there was no profit for the hash power. Let's do something interesting and change this. Actually, let me show you where the keys is. I can't remember. I think it's SL0. Yeah, SL0. All right. So what we're doing here is we're saying we want pool 0 at 31% of the hash power to run a different strategy, right? So the pool is going to run a different strategy, and S is what I use for selfish, right? So there's a whole bunch of different selfish strategies you can use. It's actually fairly elegant the way that I coded this up. Anyone that really loves code will come see this maybe and be in awe of my my leet coding prowess. So anyways, let's get out of here. We just changed that to SL0. So what does that mean though, right? What the fuck does SL0 mean? That's why we have a strategy manifest. This tells you what each of the strategies are. So HB0 is our honest baseline. This is what we're currently running. You'll notice here's the config policy. It is true, right? Say, is it an honest miner? Yes, it is. So in that case, these are selfish mining parameters, kthresh and retort policy. These are only relevant for selfish miners. So we just set them to null. And what you do is you say, here is the module that I want you to use for this strategy. So this is where the plugin thing happens. That's really cool. You'll notice this is a file location, plugins unified pool agent. So let's just get out of here really quick and show you what I mean by that. So we're going to go into the source directory. And then, so here's where all the actual source code lives, right? So, you pull in your config, you do some orchestration for the multiple workers. Here's the actual engine that the sim is running. And then we have these plugins here. The plugins is where you have this, the pool is its own agent, right? It has to make all of its own decisions, and it doesn't care what the physics of the network looks like. It's just making its own decisions. So we have the unified pool agent here, right? And this is where we won't get into the code, but, just showing you quickly that, this is where all the decision is made. And what's cool is that this agent represents both the honest case and the selfish case. The fact is that the selfish has to do all of the things that the honest does, plus layer in their own selfish strategies on top. So anyways, what you can do here is you can write your own agent, right? You could say, hey, pool agent number 2, right? Agent Zeta, or name it something cool, doesn't matter. And you can also write your own countermeasures, right? You can say, hey, rich uncles and depth penalty, right? You could write that into here. I've actually integrated some of that stuff already. I haven't written the actual scoring for depth penalty and for uncle's countermeasures, but I will get to that once the SIM is like tip top. Okay, so anyways, that's showing you, here's the file, right? Plugins, unified pool agent. So we're going to go backwards and then go back here into the config. All right, so here's our strategy manifest. Hopefully that makes more sense. Now, here's our pool agent that I just showed you, right? So you can write your own, you can plug it in, and then you just add a new module here. You just add a new object here to the JSON. Or JSON, I don't know what people call it. Anyway, so here's SL0, right? So this is a version called lead stubborn mining, where it's stubborn because traditional selfish mining tries to gain a lead, like maybe they get +4 blocks to the honest chain. And then if the chain is about to catch up, then they'll publish to safely claim their lead. But stubborn means that, hey, we're actually willing, so K-thresh here, we're actually willing to tolerate the chain catching up to us because we're going to gamble that we're going to grab a lead again, right? The chain is 0 with us. It's actually called 0 prime in the literature. And you're saying, hey, we're going to tolerate the chain catching up to us. We're going to be stubborn and not publish our alternative chain. And so you can do things like change the retort policy here. Retort policy implies what are you going to do when the chain publishes a single honest block? Are you going to try and stay ahead of them? So if you're going to always stay ahead of them and clobber their chain and always own the chain, you're going to have a retort policy of 2. A retort policy of 1 just means if the chain publishes an honest block, we're going to create contention for the chain head by publishing one of our reserves. And then a retort policy of 0 is pure silence. And that's what Qubic has been doing to reorg the chain. They don't publish anything until they're ready to reorg the chain. And so stubborn silent is actually the one that causes the most disruption to the chain. They are, again, false. They're not an honest miner. They're willing to tolerate. They're willing to tolerate the chain catching up in hopes that they will get ahead again. And then their retort policy is 0. It's silent. So that's SS0. What we can actually do here, let's exit there, and then let's go into the pools JSON again. Right now we have SL0. Let's actually do SS0, right? Let's make them a silent stubborn miner at 31% of the hash power. So that's our setup, right? Hopefully all of that has made sense. And then what are we going to do? Let's remove what's in the current data directory. Right. So we just got rid of all that data. And then we're going to run npm start. Oops. npm start. We're going to run npm start again. Oh, actually, you know, one more thing. Let's go into the environment. Do we need 1,000? We probably don't need 1,000. Why should we wait? And we don't really need all of these extra rounds either. So we can just delete that. And yeah, I guess 100 hours is fine. It's about 4 days. All right. So we're going to run npm start again. And very quickly, you know, we ran 4 days like it was nothing. And here's what we're going to do. We're going to go into our data and we're going to analyze the summary. That's all we're going to look at is the summary. All right, so in 4 days, what is the maximum reorg that this strategy was able to do? 30 blocks. They reorganized 30 blocks. If you give them 4 days, pure 100% mining on this strategy, that's 30 blocks they were able to reorg. Notice over here, though, that selfish profit, they had to pay 14% of the profit that they could have made just by being honest, right? So they're down 14% to do this reorg. Other selfish strategies do give them slightly more profit. If you use if you don't play the pure silent strategy, you can gain more profit, especially if the network has a little bit of, like if your ping is a little bit worse, right? Under slightly degraded network conditions, it becomes more profitable. Their profit starts at around 33%. So if they're using one of the non-silent methods, their profit starts at around 33%. And it's not much. It's like, you know, that's the 0 point. So if they're mining with 35%, 40% of the network, they're still only gaining like 5% more profit than they would otherwise. So the magic, so I told you guys about sweeps. Let's go into the environment. Let's suppose that we wanted to see how a strategy performed under various pings. When I say sweep, I mean that I want to run a single round that does a ping of 70, another round at a ping of 100, another round at a ping of 500 milliseconds, another round at a ping of 1,000 milliseconds, right? So that's 4 different levels, 4 different rounds I want to run, and I all want to have them run under the seed of 1. I want them to all be exactly comparable. So when I say I want to implement sweeps, what I mean is that I want to run rounds. I want to be able to vary these input conditions, right? I want to be able to change this ping between rounds without having to fucking come here and manually change it, you know, and then run around, change it, run another round, and then change it, and then do that again, you know, because the problem is, let's suppose we want to run 5 levels of ping, right? And then let's suppose that that we want to run different levels of, let's just say our here we have an honest scoring, right? Let's suppose that we want to change this K and this L, right? We want to run 3 levels of K and another 3 levels of L. So that's 3 times 3 times 5, right? That's already 100 different rounds that would be run just for that. That's not even to consider changing, right, the K thresh and the retort policy of the various selfish, stubborn mining things that you can do, right? So you're looking at thousands of different rounds and combinations, and this is how you have to search a problem space to find your minimum optimal. Usually you're trying to minimize something, right? Like minimize the reorg length and minimize the selfish profit. So you have to sweep over literally thousands of combinations of so many different things that you can do, you know. And you'll notice here, right, there's a depth penalty based on time. We could do a depth penalty based on the number of blocks of reorg. We could give an uncle bonus based on time, or an uncle bonus based on the number of blocks. We can also say, what does the timestamp skew look like? And again, we have to check all of these different things in relation to the different strategies that the selfish miners could deploy, and we have to do that under various network conditions, right, of various pings. So you can understand, hopefully you're starting to understand the scope of the problem space isn't just as simple as like, hey, I have an idea, let me run a quick simulation and see if it works or not. No. That's great. Like, you have an idea, let's simulate it, but we have to simulate it. Every idea has different tuning parameters, and it has to be able to perform against various, like under various network conditions where we might have degraded global internet. It needs to be able to perform relative to other strategies, right? It needs to show that it's better than other possible strategies, and it needs to show that it can actually partition heal. Like, if the network ever becomes fractured, say a global internet outage, the network needs to be able to heal, and we have to be able to check all of that. So you can see this is like very, very close to being able to do sweeps. I'm not quite there yet. I did all of the setup the past couple days. I made poor coding decisions early on that I had to pay for. My sins had to be paid for in the past couple days to set up the code in such a way that I can implement the sweeps that we're talking about, right? So that we can actually programmatically vary all of these different parameters without having to hand jam the config every single time that you want to change something, right? Instead, you can have a single file that says, okay, change this, this, and this at these levels. It'll automatically generate all the possible combinations and then sweep through them at however many hours that you say to do. So the last little bragging point that we can do to set this off while Tux comes back is I'm going to set this for a full year of calculation. We're only going to run one round. We're going to set this
I am here. Were you waiting for me for something?
No. I was just I don't know. Just saying that I'm going to set this off to run for a second. It's going to take about 40 seconds. The last thing I'll show before we just chit chat again is let's see, package.json. So these are all like the easy way to run this. So you'll notice we've been doing npm start, right? So you can come in here and sort of make your own little simple scripts. But what we're going to do is run data mode simple right here, because we actually, like, despite the fact that that you can go in here. One thing I forgot to show you guys is the scores. So I call them scores 001. We're just going to look at that one. This is what all of the pools see individually, right? So you can see that there's an index and then there's a pool ID. And then the block ID is just the height and then underscore the pool that mined it. So you can see that we sweep through all of the pools, right. So there's a lot of data in here. It's 35,000 lines. Anyways, I just wanted to show you guys that. I'm sure you all would figure that out on your own. But the point is that you don't actually need all of the blocks, and you don't actually need all of the scores. And that actually slows the simulation down because you have to gzip all of that. So instead, what we're going to do is run a simple version of this where you can just do npm run sim simple, right? So that's going to not produce the blocks or scores. It's just going to produce the results summary. And this will take about 40 seconds to run, but we're going to run an entire year's worth of simulation here. So yeah, that'll take a second. I don't know if Tux, you want to come back online and give your commentary.
All right, this is a pretty cool This is a pretty cool simulation that you created. I like how you laid it out, how you're able to choose the different, I guess, mining style for each pool. And it's very clear with the different modes that you've set up. How long did it take you to set all this up? I'm guessing you worked over this over the course of several weeks at least, right?
Yeah, I started this about 5 weeks ago.
Okay.
Maybe it was 6 weeks ago. Yeah, so yeah, maybe not the fastest absolute turnaround time, but it's correct. Like that's the thing I can't like, I can't guarantee that it's correct, but I mean, it's written in a way that you can read the code and understand it. It's not like an arcane method of writing code. It's a functional style. It's not object oriented. I hate object orientation, but that's a different conversation. But you should be able to read the code if you're interested in it. I tried to name everything in ways that like made a lot of sense. And again, it's like, it's correct. It's modular. It's pluggable. Arctic has been talking about changing, there's been some talk about changing the difficulty algorithm and like changing the block time, stuff like that. So I am thinking about trying to modularize the difficulty adjustment algorithm. Right now it's sort of integrated into the SIM core, but I could pull that out just as easy. And everything in here, like I said, it's all fairly well modularized. All the things that you want to do have their own little functions. And then you can easily pull that out if you wanted to. So anyways, yeah, that took about 40 seconds to run. And you can see that, again, we can go in here and look at our results summary, right? We ran a year's worth of simulation. And these are the results that we're getting. So anyways, yeah, if people again, if you have ideas and you know a little bit of JavaScript, it should be, with the help of an LLM, you should be able to make sense of this and write your own countermeasures and test them and everything. So.
That is very awesome. And I mean, yeah, it's kind of what Node is good for. Like, it's like maybe it's overused for software in general, but this is like a great use of it. And it allowed you to easily set this up and within a reasonable amount of time, create this program that's modular. And of course, the environment is very easy to understand what's going on. And from there, I'm sure if you want to be more experienced, you could look at the code and, maybe make your own modules as well. But very cool.
Yeah, I'd be 100% open if anyone wants to like hop on this project and say, hey, you know what, let's add in some modules for transactions and dynamic blocks. I bet you Arctic would be pretty happy if someone wanted to do that. I would like to say that I could do that, but I honestly, there's no chance I can say I can get to that with all the work in front of me that, still needs to be done for the selfish mining stuff. But if someone wants to get in here and start beefing up the simulation or like I have a whole stochastic model that makes certain assumptions. But if you wanted to get in there and check the literature and find out what is a more realistic representation of ping and all that kind of stuff, I would be totally open to anyone that wants to contribute. So it's at the level that I can sort of open it up and say, hey, if you want to contribute, jump on in, because now I'm confident that the architecture is correct.
And has the MRL used this at any capacity to help get insight?
No, not yet. They're all, for the most part, working on their individual modules.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, what they're waiting for is for me to like say, okay, here's my model. Here's the results that I'm getting from it. They have, listened. So last week on the MRL meeting, I said, hey, here's what I'm seeing with my SIM as far as reorgs go, right? Here's what hypothetically they could do with certain amount of hash power and certain strategies. And Rucknium, he was a little bit interested in that, but they're waiting for me to produce something, right? Because they're all hella busy, and they're trying to get the DNS checkpoints rolled out, so they don't really have time to go in here and play with my model.
And I guess that became kind of, once again, I've not been keeping up very much with it, especially over the past few weeks. But it looked like the DNS checkpoints became the main priority over the past month. At some point, it was decided that was going to be used as a temporary stopgap in significantly reducing their ability to selfish mine as effectively.
Yeah, exactly. It was when we had the first 20 or 18 block reorg. They call it the Grim trigger. that's
Yep.
So that happened a few times now. So it's not as like back in 2014, it was a lot easier to pull the trigger on a DNS checkpoint to stop the ASICs. But it's a lot harder now because, we're not a budding, aspiring new network. We are a multi-billion-dollar network. So
true. All right. Well, with that being said, thank you so much for showing us off, Bawdy. It's really, really cool stuff.
Yeah, thanks for letting me show it, man.
And I guess we'll go ahead and move it into the viewers on stage. So if any of y'all in the backstage want to come up, ask some questions. I don't know if Bawdy's going to be hanging around. Maybe they can ask you questions about your project in the simulator. But yeah, I guess we'll go ahead and transition into viewers on stage.
The Monerotopia Viewers on Stage segment is sponsored by XMR Bar. Play dice with Monero using a privacy-respecting and provably fair algorithm. Go to XMR.bar. As always, verify and never trust.
Please gamble responsibly in accordance with the laws of your jurisdiction.
This AI transition is so goofy. It makes me laugh every time. All right, I'm going to try and get everyone up here. We got a few people. We've got Cellar Door Anon, and we've got AK Non, of course. What's going on, guys? Happy Saturday.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom. That's right.
I might have missed it, but did anybody talk about Rucknium's 10-block reorg article?
No, I meant to let me bring that up real quick. I meant to add that to Tony's news segment, but I forgot to. Let me go find that link real quick. There it is.
There, I'll give it to you right there.
Thank you, sir. Yeah, this is a pretty cool article that, oops, reshare my screen.
There's some interesting things to be said if you guys haven't read it. I'm not going to pretend like I could ever be Rucknium on this one, but toward the bottom, it talks about some of the effects that full chain membership proofs would have on it. That is absolutely incredible.
Yeah, this is a really great article where Rucknium basically breaks down the 18-block reorg, the massive one that happened a few days ago. And it gets in the weeds quite a bit. So this, for a lot of people, including myself, a lot of this is not going to mean too much. But like Alaskon was saying, toward the bottom here, we've got some interesting information on effects FCMP will have. And this reads, FCMP, which is full chain membership proofs, of course, is an upcoming upgrade to Monero's privacy features. Instead of having a small ring size of 16, FCMP will, in effect, produce a ring that includes all of the hundreds of millions of outputs ever produced on the Monero blockchain. It is a huge improvement in privacy. How would FCMP transactions handle a deep blockchain reorg? In one way, FCMP performs better than ring signatures, but in another way, it performs worse. The privacy impact would be eliminated. Since FCMP transactions would include the whole set of previous outputs in their rings, an observer could not perform the process of elimination analysis that defeated the privacy of small rings when transactions are invalidated and need to be reconstructed. However, since current version of Monero rings only select a limited number of outputs from the reorg zone, there is only a chance, not a guarantee, that the transactions outside of the 10-block lock are invalidated. In the actual 18-block reorg, only about half of transactions that could have been invalidated actually were because of the luck of the ring signature draw. If they were FCMP transactions, all transactions above the 10-block lock would have been invalidated because all of them would reference all transactions from 10 blocks and earlier. So I guess that indicates a greater need of having things in place to prevent something like this from happening again, because if it did, after FCMP++ is integrated, it could be even worse. There could be even more transactions that would be fully invalidated.
And I will keep it short, but I do have like a little bit of a soapbox thing about this, where waiting for other people, especially that tiny little core team of developers, to figure out all of these different problems that could emerge is a fool's journey. And to see people like Bawdy building, a way to model different attack vectors and so on, or to see Rucknium kind of breaking down how known problems with Monero would change based on FCMP. It reminds me of what Offren was saying the other day, which was Just because there's a lot of incredibly smart and talented people that are working on Monero, it doesn't mean that we should just throw our hands up and let other people get the work done. Because even just a write-up like this it gives us more things to think about, more ways to approach FCMP or the way that we mine things, and people familiarizing themselves with the available literature as best as they can and really thinking about things that we can change to make the Monero project better. All hands are needed. Everybody should be trying to figure out how they can help or improve a lot of these issues, because if we want to have real money, that's what it's going to take, and no one's going to do it for us. So whether or not you're technically literate, you might be economically literate, you might be business literate. There was a whole thing about getting rid of, I think it was certain TX fields or something like that, about trying to basically reduce a little bit of blockchain bloat. But it was a business perspective that pointed out, if I was trying to, figure out where my money went while I'm running a hot dog stand or something, that's valuable information on a business level. And that's kind of the point, is a person might be an incredibly talented programmer, but they're not thinking about being a business person trying to buy and sell with Monero. But that might be you. So familiarize yourself with the research, familiarize yourself with what's being proposed, and add your knowledge and wisdom, but try not to, fill all of the chats with every little thing that you want to say. But that said, you probably have something useful to bring to the table. Please consider doing so.
Yeah, somewhat related to that notion is I understand everyone's really busy, and as someone that has some technical skills and hasn't focused on Monero ever before, other than doing some price stuff, I tried to make this tool that I made, this simulator, as easy as anyone that is mildly familiar with Node.js, right, that has ever played with it before. You should be able to get in there and copy my unified pool agent and then modify it for whatever countermeasures that you might want to propose. It should be pretty easy for anyone that has some minor technical competency to get in there without having to understand the rest of the surrounding code, right? That's what modularity means. So you should be able to get in there. And the other thing too is you don't necessarily even have to understand the full how the pool agent itself works in a complete sense. You don't even have to understand that. If you can just say, okay, let me copy that and copy these modules and then create a new little function here, a new few functions that will define how a pool might respond under certain conditions. It doesn't even have to be clean code, right? That's the beauty of this. You can write dirty code that works and then plug it in and still test it and say, hey, this might actually be something useful, right? So, yeah, I just wanted to make it in a way that people could go play with it without having to be experts necessarily.
Another advantage to playing with what Bawdy has built here, I think there's a lot of, let's say, script kiddies or nublets out there that could probably not only learn more about just the basics of how their computer works, but they can learn a lot more about how Monero actually works. So if you tune into these shows and a lot of this stuff gets really technical, or you're just struggling to understand what people are talking about with block lock times and stuff, just playing with tools like this will probably increase the level of knowledge that you have with how Monero is working just generally. So don't be afraid to mess around, try it out, see what happens.
Yeah, well put, guys. I see we also have Seller Door and Anon here. What's going on, guys? You guys care to jump in, say anything? No pressure, no pressure. I think I put the, I already put the StreamYard link in the comments, guys. If you're watching and you do want to come up and you want to say something, you have a comment about a question about Bawdy Simulator, a Monero related comment or anything, feel free to come up. We're pretty friendly.
So just to fill the air a little bit while we wait, but anybody interrupt me at any time. Mateo got to see some onboarding in the Monero world, and one thing that I hadn't thought about because I'm getting really used to it, but I think kind of took him by surprise. Of course, I had Monero swag that I was wearing, but I hadn't said anything about buying. We went to a farm. I hadn't said anything about buying the products that I was purchasing at this farm in Monero. I had just brought, wads of cash. And the farmer was the one who said, well, I'll take my payments in Monero. And I saw him kind of light up like, what? And he goes, I've been trying to get into this for quite a while now, and I'd love to be paid in Monero. And I was like, well, I wouldn't part with any Monero for anything less than like an 8% discount. And the guy's like, oh, yes, absolutely. And then Mateo's like, I'll buy some with Monero if I can, I would also want the discount. And the farmer's like, yeah, sure. I'm trying to accumulate as much as I can. And I thought it was interesting because I realized in Alaska, you say nothing and they ask you if you'll pay in Monero, and they'll take a discount immediately. In fact, I probably could have done better than 8%, but that's been kind of like the going rate up here, is you get an 8% discount for paying in Monero. And as soon as it was over, he's like, I sell other stuff if you're paying in Monero. I wouldn't have been surprised if he was like offering one of his kids at this point, but it was just really fun to watch because I think it was a very different experience than he's used to.
Sounds like I gotta be rich. I really need to come up there. Just handing out Monero left and right.
There's massive arbitrage opportunities in Alaska for stuff like that. A person could make quite a little business model for themselves, for sure. But I mean, even just the fact that you can save so much on your groceries, like I can buy meat up here, I can buy eggs up here, I can buy milk up here, all produced locally, and that's pretty much all I actually consume is meat and eggs. But you can buy vegetables some of the year up here, not probably about half of the year. The vegetable supply kind of dries up for Monero accepting people. However, I will buy your vegetables for you, and then you can pay me back in Monero any time of the year.
Wow, that's pretty awesome. So you can actually go to some nearby either stores or farmers directly, and you will buy meat and eggs with Monero.
Nearby in Alaska does not mean the same thing as nearby.
Nearby.
So let's
a few hours driving distance.
Yeah, let's just make sure the disclosure's in there that nearby in Alaska is talking about, 50 miles. So what to some people mean, yeah, I'm just going to drive over to the next state. Well, here in Alaska, that would be nearby. Okay, so let's just, anybody who wants to come up here, understand that you may think that you understand that Alaska is a big place, but you almost certainly do not until you actually get here and you realize how huge everything is up here and how far away everything is up here. So that is one caveat that I would tell you. It will probably be the closest farm to you or the closest store to you, but it's still a journey.
That's pretty awesome, though. I will come up there at some point to buy food, buy meat and eggs for Monero. That sounds like a journey, a worthy journey. Hello, Elias.
Hi, everyone. It's good. Sorry to disappoint. I had typed my name as Einan here, but it's just me.
No worries, no worries.
Anyway, I wanted to say that it's, in case anyone remembers something I was rambling about a few weeks ago about trying to use more information about the mining that's going on and so on. It was really pretty much the same thing as this work shares idea that Dr. K has talked about later. They've been doing that for a while, I guess. So it's not like something I had come up with, but it was the same thing I was thinking about anyway. So I really think that that's a very interesting idea, and I wanted actually to ask Bawdy about that because you were talking about this idea you had about using the time, like the local time that each node is aware of what the current time is, and the node can use that to sort of form an opinion about if certain blocks are suspicious, that why haven't I seen this block earlier, right? And you can think of some ways of making decisions based on that. And I was thinking that if you combine that with this work shares idea, then you could do the same thing using time, but you could also use it. You would have much more information to work with because you get information from these work shares. So you get information much more frequent, not only when there's a new block, but whenever there's a new work share, you get to know something about what's going on. Do you see what I mean, Bawdy?
Yeah, 100%. I haven't super dove into the specifics on the work shares implementation. I'm actually not 100% sure if it's something that prevents selfish miners from gaining extra profit, or if it will stop them from reorging the chain. I don't think that work shares will stop these kind of like malicious, the miner is willing to pay for it, reorganizations, even with a minority of hash power. The time component definitely can stop that, simply because you can use time as a weighting factor to say, hey, these blocks, these blocks arrived way late. Like this 18 block reorg, these blocks are about 40 minutes late. These should have come here 40 minutes ago. So we're going to programmatically reduce their weighting. We're going to penalize them for that. There's all kinds of trade-offs, every single one of these things. Like the reason I started like building this sim was because, when I came up with the time-weighted adjustments, I started realizing how many different ways you could sort of do the weighting. And I started realizing that I couldn't mathematically, at some point, there was no way to mathematically calculate everything involved, like all the other stuff. And so I said, well, the only way to do it then is to simulate it, I guess. And that was actually ended up being the correct decision, because the more that I got into the research and I realized that all the selfish mining modeling has been done on something called a Markov decision process. And it's like it's sort of a limited way, but like you sort of have to make certain assumptions about network latency and things like that. But it allows you to explore the problem space and find like ideal set points, but it's also not like totally realistic to what the network looks like. And they have to do like these sort of heuristics that summarize aspects of the network. But yeah, I guess more to your point, there's definitely the possibility, like you say, of sort of mixing and matching, right? Combining the work shares and then maybe also doing a time weighting or a penalization, stuff like that. So it's really, it's a matter of trying to look at all of the different possibilities simultaneously, in sort of apples to apples conditions, and then being able to say, okay, which one of these performs best under which conditions, and what are the trade-offs for that? Like workshares has the trade-off that you have to include the proof of work into the block itself, right? Whatever blocks come later, you have to say, well, here's the proof of work, for those workshares. But those proofs of work are dependent on how that miner constructed their particular block. And so, okay, you can sort of roll that all up into saying, well, here's the transactions, and maybe here's a hash of the transactions. And then maybe you can like reduce that somewhat, but I'm not totally clear on the details of the implementation. And the problem is that at some point that could end up making the block size larger, right? And we're already going to have significantly increased block sizes because of FCMP. So yeah, it's a lot, there's a lot to think about, but yeah, you're right. Mixing and matching is definitely a possibility.
Right. Thanks. I think now I could have misunderstood this, but I think that the work shares thing is it means that you you don't actually have to take into account what transactions that miner had. I mean, let's suppose you're a miner who is going to construct a real block, and then I'm another miner who I just sent a work share to you, and you're going to take into account that work when you make your block. But you don't need to care what transactions I had put in my block, because the work share itself that you get from me, it only proves that I have been spending work on. Like it only shows my opinion about what is the current chain, like the previous block that I consider the real previous block. You can see that, and you can see that I spent this amount of work, and you don't need to bother about what transactions I had. Of course, I was mining on a particular block, but you don't need to care about that, I think. So
yeah, we need to look deeper into it.
Yeah.
My thing is, I've just been like, usually when I get into a project, I always say I can only focus on like one, at best, two things. So if I give something my focus, it's usually like 90% towards that thing. So I actually haven't been super up to date with the specifics on all of the new proposals, because, Tevador's like fucking serious, like actually level genius, and is just continue like, here's an idea, like adding proposals, and it's a lot to keep up with. And if I were to focus on all of those, then I wouldn't be able to make the SIM. But at some point, the SIM will be like, I'll say, hey, this thing is fucking totally ready. And then I'll start diving into every single one of the countermeasures one by one and trying to implement them, with specificity.
Yeah, I see. Yeah, this simulator seems really great. Thanks a lot for working on that. It should be super useful. I guess that if you were to simulate something like the work shares thing, then that would require changing it, right? It would make it more complicated than it is right now.
Yeah, some of these proposals won't be as simple to just like plug in. So for example, I sort of embedded the extensibility of scoring, and there's a whole bunch of different ways you can score. And so I sort of like modularized the functions for how you can score, so that it'd be easy just to, okay, we'll score this way, score that way. But some of these are not compatible with scoring. They're non-scoring based countermeasures, in which case, yeah, it will be a little bit of extra work to integrate them, but not that much, because all you really have to do is copy that pool agent, the sort of unified pool agent that I already created. You just have to make a copy of that, and then sort of modify the places inside of that agent that would be specific to, for example, work shares. And then it's just really easy to change your strategy manifest and say, okay, we'll use this file for this miner right here, right? For, plug in this file instead of the, the reference implementation. You can plug in a different one. So it's really like, it shouldn't be that hard to implement that.
So it's not like fundamentally restricted to that it can only communicate a block. It could communicate something else to others. Is that sort of possible within the framework?
Yeah. There's the slight potential that so there's kind of like an API contract. So what I did is I really tried to absolutely separate the pool's decision-making process from the actual blockchain physics, right? The simulation core, the engine. And so there's really only a few parameters that get passed back and forth between the two. It might be the case that some strategies will incorporate some new piece of information that will need to get stored and tracked. But even that should, you should still be able to roll almost all of those possibilities under the current construct. So if you remember, I talked about scores. So scores are basically what I call the pool's independent view of each block as it arrives. So like the local time and what it thinks the cumulative difficulty is and stuff like that. So it should be relatively straightforward. If you need to tag on some new piece of information, like one of Tevador's proposals is to use transaction extra, I think in combination with work shares, you could tag that on pretty easily into the scores and still maintain like a nice modular separation from the sim core itself. So that's what I think, that's the way I designed it. Obviously, the real world can sometimes present you things that you didn't expect. But even if it does, I still think it should be fairly easy for me to create additional mating surfaces or additional API contract hooks if I need to. So I think we should be able to fairly robustly test the full solution space.
Oh, that's great. That's great. I really think that it's, a good simulator is really something that's needed here. So
yeah, it's one of those things that you could just see that all the MRL guys were just totally saturated by the attacks, and obviously FCMP, was already like, their main point of focus, and then the attacks came online, and it's like, damn, these guys don't have the resources to, like, I have an idea, like, and I could continue proposing other ideas, and it's just like, yeah, but what are they going to do with that? How are they going to evaluate that? They're already full time on everything else. They're overtime on everything else. So it's kind of like, well, if I don't do it, like, no one's going to do it, right? If you want, at this point, guys, in Monero, like, we are under attack. If you want something to be done, no one, the MRL guys don't have time to do anything else. I mean, yeah, they have a little bit of extra time, obviously, but like, if you want something done, if you want to test something, you're going to have to do it yourself. You can't rely on somebody else doing it for you at this point. We need help.
A great way to get these talented people to exit the space entirely is to pay them next to nothing to work an overtime full-time job while being a crybaby in the forums about it. Like, if I were trying to attack Monero's blockchain right now, I would just whine at the devs that we have incessantly until they don't want to be part of the space anymore.
Yeah, I think most of the devs are significantly more emotionally resilient than that. I think they're all, for the most part, they're all, they want to be here for reasons that are good. So I think most of them at this point have learned to sort of like tune out the complaints and the nonsense. But at the same time, kind of in agreement with what Alaska just said. If you're kind of an OG in the space, if you've been around for a long time and you suddenly start complaining a whole bunch, they might not, no one's going to like that, obviously. So if you've been around for a while and you have some soft skills, right, if you can do some coding, you could probably find a way to help try and solve this selfish mining problem.
Lord willing, if some of these projects pop off and we can see a wider adoption, I could definitely see more funding entering the space and more talent entering the space. But the thing is right now, we have a long way to go before we're going to just start seeing, more and more talented developers pouring into this space. So we should really work hard to protect the time that they're willing to give to this project. It really needs to remain a top priority in the here and now.
All right, guys. Well, looks like I might go ahead and end it here unless y'all had anything else you want to talk about. It is a little bit of a shorter day since Doug is currently busy.
Did you see this flag my buddy got me?
Dude, that is a fucking sweet flag, my guy.
My wife insisted on hanging it up for Mateo's interview, and I was like, I don't know if that's like quite his personality, like it's my personality, but whatever. So, but it's like, watch 10 years from now, somebody's like, is that a Killdozer flag back there? Like,
could you move over so we can see the whole text? All right.
Yeah, it's Killdozer, and it says tread on them. So.
All right. Well, thank you, everyone. I think we'll go ahead and end it up here. Great stuff. Thanks, everyone, for coming on. Thanks, Bawdy, for showing us your simulator. Thanks for doing all the work on that. Yeah, because it is quite a thankless thing. But honestly, if you have the means,
it's been really fun. It's made me significantly better coder. It's a space that I've never worked on before. Right? I've never coded a sim before, so steep learning curve and all. But it's been really fun, actually.
It looks really good.
Hopefully that is inspiring to other people who have the means but just haven't dived into doing anything like that before. But thanks, everyone. Have a great weekend, and we will see you next week.
God bless you all.
So long.
Thank you for joining us on this week's Monerotopia episode. We stream live shows every Saturday at 11 a.m. Eastern. You can find and subscribe to our show on YouTube and Odyssey, or listen to the podcast on iTunes, Spotify, or Stitcher. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter or join us in the Monerotopia Telegram group.